Hello everyone and welcome to the League of Legends Clash and Burn the Respawnaning sessions. That's a black screen because I'm bad at my job. Wait a second. Here we go. Let's go. You didn't know. No one noticed. So that's good enough. There should be a picture in there, but I'm not a pro. What is happening today and why are you hearing this sexy whispering English voice? Well, yesterday I was the jungler for this team of brave heroes, and honestly, I'm gutter trash. So what we decided was I decided is that I would not do the games today, but I would instead commentate the games to all of you. And you're welcome for this service. It's no skin off my nose at all. No, put your money away. Speaking of money, if anyone out there is watching and wouldn't mind following the channel today, and you haven't followed this channel, do so. It helps us out a lot. We are currently 8 follows away from becoming affiliate, and then we can do more silly stuff like this, and there's a reason to. So if you're out there and you haven't followed, please do. I'm currently just waiting for my broadcast partner to enter, and he has. Welcome aboard, 420 HP of beef himself, Timothy. How's it going?
Doing pretty well, Sam. How about you? We may well have one more joining us tonight.
Who've we got, Alex?
Yep, we'll have Alex coming in.
Fantastic, what a treat.
To lend a little bit of proper, actual technical analysis, rather
he's actually
than
good, isn't he? I think.
Yes.
That'll be refreshing.
Someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't know, does that drag our stream down a little? I feel like us not knowing what we're talking about is probably more on brand at this point.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be an interesting dynamic. We'll see how the fans like it.
We'll see. Indeed. Also, what's the expectations for today's games, do you think? The guys have a lot to live up to after yesterday, especially in the jungle.
Yes, well, we have had a little bit of adjustment, I do believe, in the roster, seeing as you're here talking to me, and Tyler's playing on the team tonight.
I don't know if this is a thing in America, but I'm going to play some BBC sports themes. It gets us demonetized, but we won't make any money from it anyway, so have one of these. Ready? Play, please. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the British Broadcasting Corporation's League of Legends coverage. That's right, it's Grandstand with Sam and Tim. Let's go.
Alright, so we do have a little bit of information on the nub team that Clintapalooza is facing tonight. For those of you who are watching, if Sam didn't mention it before I arrived, Clintapalooza is our Snog Beep team. So, just any preliminary thoughts, Sam, based on what we're seeing from the match histories, clash history, that sort of thing?
This is the team that's just... Yeah, okay, cool. Let me have a look at that and see. So, we have... Do you know what? I think we might have a little more of a fight on our hands than we did yesterday. Because these guys seem okay. The only guy that's suspicious to me is the top laner has very few games. So that can go either way. But otherwise, yeah, I feel like... reasonable. Like, the champions aren't anything that the guys seem to struggle with too much. No one seems to be incredibly dominant, so I don't know, am I barking up the wrong tree? But
no, that seems fairly reasonable. I mean, it's a fairly low number of total clash matches played, but all of the histories swing pretty heavily towards losses. Once again, as with some of last night's games, we are looking at people with high total masteries, so there's a lot of breadth to the champion pools there. One thing that does stand out to me is the person who looks to be their bottom laner does also main Vayne, it looks like. That's her highest points mastery. She hasn't played them recently.
And that makes an interesting tactical point. So if Vayne is their focal point in the enemy team, do you want to try and either guarantee the first pick or ban it anyway with a different first pick, knowing and hoping that you're more flexible in your bottom lane than the enemy is?
Well, considering that it looks like the two bottom laners, that being Aiden and the Sarah MF Fortune, who appears to be the bottom laner for this team, they don't have much overlap in their second and third picks.
Yeah.
Just we're seeing Twitch and Caitlyn, and surprisingly enough, for someone named Sarah MF Fortune, Miss Fortune.
Yep.
Whereas
really
Aiden tends.
Really gone in on the role playing there.
Absolutely, Aiden tends to gravitate more towards Callista or something like that. So it may just be a ban, and people counting on their ADCs to have a solid second pick.
Well, as a man who's played a lot of League of Legends with him, I will say I've got a lot of faith in Aiden as long as he listens to the team. You better be listening to me, Aiden. Listen to Meg, goddammit, and then he's fine. Because he's a good player, is our Aiden.
Yep, absolutely. We will want to be looking around the 15-20 minute mark and see if he is making some decisions as far as going into lane alone. That is something that he does tend to do that does not necessarily work out well for him.
Yes, he does tend to push up a little bit because he's a little more confident in his ability to get out than perhaps he needs to be, and it does get him snared up in some decisions he didn't need to make with just these little unforced errors that we see with the maybe just a lack of concentration perhaps. But it's not the most fatal flaw, but it is certainly something that holds him back a little, so hopefully he's learned from that and prevents himself from giving away some unneeded kills.
Yeah, just a little bit of update. They are in Champ Select now, so we should hopefully be getting a little more information coming out of them soon as to what picks and bans are. Really?
Yeah, and as soon as we have those, I think we'll pass them back. So, give me your hot take. Like your first 3 bans against this team. Who you taking?
It really is a tough call. There's a lot of variety between the mastered and played champions. Really, in terms of folks that we're seeing a bit of. The 100% win rate with a 12.5 KDA on Yorick is a little bit concerning coming out of Crazy Side.
Yeah.
Particularly with, it's beginning of the split. Oh, hey there, Alex. We're just getting going, looking at opposing team information for thoughts on picks and bans.
Welcome aboard, Alex. Nice to see you.
Thank you for having me. Where are we watching?
So I'll have it on spectate mode. I don't know how I can share my screen in here. And
yes.
Let's do that. I'll share my display.
Yes, if you stream your display to us, we can watch your spectate.
Can I share, or can I be on a spectate client myself? Because I like watching the things that I can.
Pop yourself into the League client and spectate along, and we'll try and sync it up as well, like get a timestamp going and stuff like that. We'll get it wrong because I'm trash, but it'll be.
It's no worries.
I'll give it a go.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. And
hold on, sorry. I will just simply share my main screen. That way, when the League client closes, nothing bad happens.
Who can I be spectating? None of them have me. I don't think any of them have me added.
I'm no toxic. That's
I don't think any of them. I'm sorry, say again? You're sounding muted.
Oh, I'm no toxic.
I'm sorry, say again?
It's Tyler. So, I'm no toxic. It's Tyler.
As long as he accepts me, I'll be ready to go.
Alright. Yep, so you can see in the Discord, Alex, that we've got the
had ideas for this. Hold on, there we go.
We're talking a little bit about
Tim, I'm having a little bit of a problem hearing you. It might just be me.
Yeah, you are quite quiet there, Tim.
Okay, let me try disconnecting. I'll disconnect, reconnect, and see.
Okay. So yeah, Alex, as we were saying, who are your? Because you're actually good at this game, unlike me, for instance. This is why we've got you in. We needed some actual, genuine technical knowledge. So who are your first 3 bands coming off that team when you look at it? I'm thinking the Yorik's probably a safe band.
Let me glance at those lists really quickly here.
I will talk to fill some airtime. Is the audio any better coming off of me?
It seems to be to me, yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
And are we on? Okay, I see now. Never mind, we're good.
Yep. But just to give folks a little bit of a review, do you know, Sam, if Tyler's playing top lane and Colin switched into the jungle?
It's how I would line them up. I don't actually know the plan for the team, but I'm going to assume that we will see Tyler's Nasus top unless it is banned.
Yes, that would be my guess as well, though it could be a nice targeted ban. If he does play in the jungle, as far as his comfort picks, which may not be comfort picks in the meta, his J4 does actually see a fair amount of play.
He bloody loves Jarvan, doesn't he? Which is tragic.
Absolutely.
Because he's so bad now, but he used to be good. So there's that.
Yep. The J4 could also see the Amumu coming out if he's in jungle.
Now that
Yeah, I think,
is a good pick.
I think quickly glancing over some of the enemy team stats, some of the things I would focus in on are not necessarily just around the meta, but around comfort as well, because meta is going to really become a lot more important at higher tier, unless you're looking at really low tier meta. So I think that the things that stand out to me is the repetition of picks. So things like volley that are true across multiple different champions, or excuse me, multiple different players. Things like Lux, which have high mastery and high KDA. The Yorick is an outlier. The Yorick does look tasty, but because it's only 3 games, it's hard to really say what those stats were against to get that KDA. More notably, I think Leona and Maokai are very meta picks right now. Once again, though, low stats, so it's really hard to read this team super hard. I think that I would start with probably that Lux ban, though.
Well, ladies
Yeah,
and gentlemen,
anytime.
I can, sorry to interrupt, gentlemen, but I can reveal the picks as we are heading in. We're on 1 minute 50 away from the game beginning. The picks, we have Nasus, who I'm assuming is going top lane. We have Colin on Master Yi. Meg Gallium31 is playing her Lulu pick that's been doing really well recently in our games that we've played. We did in fact get the Vayne pick from Aiden, and Andrew's on his signature Zoe. So this is a strong looking team from our heroes against Caitlyn in the bot lane with Morgana. We have Malzahar going, I'm assuming, mid. Yes, mid, definitely. And then Yorick was let through. And we've got a Maokai, so I'm assuming Yorick's jungling. But I could be wrong.
It could be.
Yeah, that's a very interesting team comp there. I think your confusion is well noted.
Yeah, I was trying to not sound like I was calling them crazy, but I'm struggling. So, as I'm going to quickly switch to my League of Legends view and hope it's working. No, not yet. Okay, cool. Trying not to also accidentally put the webcam up because I'm shirtless. So, it's warm. So, their bans were Urgot, Thresh, Set, Volley, and Leona from Team Snogby, and the enemy band Anivia, Mordekaiser, Taric, Rel, and Callista. The Callista band coming out from the opponent's team, somehow giving away first pick for the Vayne.
Well, it sounds like they were banking on getting the first pick and then let the Vayne through. Either that or their ADC playing a lot of Vayne themselves has a fair sense of how to play into the Vayne, especially if we've got the longer range on the Caitlyn compared to the short range of the Vayne. That could be what they're most comfortable playing into Vayne on.
Yeah, I would agree completely. I think there's several key things to look at in these matchups. Number one thing is that the scaling timings versus sort of more of a mid-game team comp. So number one, as the game goes on, we'll see our guys getting stronger and stronger and stronger versus a team that's going to really have to close the game out before then. But it looks sort of unique in the tempoing in the sense of they don't seem to have one specific time of the game they're really going for. It seems to be more based around comfort picks and counter picks rather than a cohesive team comp.
Gotcha, I see.
For the
Alright,
end
we
of it.
are on the rift,
Yeah.
but I'm struggling to get footage up. Please God work. Is my current
As
cry.
Yeah, it appears we do have stream.
Is it on the stream? Okay, fantastic.
Yes, it is on the stream.
Thank Christ above. So, we're hitting the rift, ladies and gentlemen. I have
And
a
Sam,
message.
if you would hold the
Oh, Lewis says it's perfect.
lock the stats showing in the bottom just for
Where am I looking
30
at?
seconds until
Down
minions
here.
spawn.
yes, interface visibility and
Show
scoreboard.
scoreboard.
Alright.
You can hide the timer unless we want to go back to it.
We'll keep it just in case we need it.
Malachi throwing out the sapling.
Oh.
You have a generic defensive setup here. We call this gates. Red team's being a little bit more aggressive with their posturing, but they do have higher CC off of the level 1,
Oh,
so that's not
ladies and gentlemen,
surprising.
question mark ping the E. What a terrible, terrible behaviour there. Sorry, continue.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of back and forth, but if you look at the red team, they do have the earlier CC heavy comp, so they are going to try to assert their dominance a little bit there, but not really get anything for it. Arguably, it's kind of funny, but because of Maokai's early game mana costs, he's probably going to heal that back up, as opposed to Mao is going to be coming into lane with partial mana at this point.
Well,
so
if you look
not
at
really
summoners,
gaining
Alex, it's likely that Maokai is going to be in the jungle rather than the
I see. Well, he's going to get blue and negate everything I just said then. Caster Curse.
Yeah. Alright, so yeah, just for those who haven't noticed it, Yorick is rocking the teleport in top lane. We've got Maokai in the jungle. Malzahar does also have the teleport, so they are one up in terms of map presence, since there is no mid teleport on Zoe for Quintapalooza. But we will
May I
see.
request a minor stream change to get the champions lined up in the scoreboard to their corresponding lanes?
Of course you can, because
These
I'm
are-
nice like that. There you go. I'll
Much
make sure I
appreciated.
keep an eye on that in the future. So, obviously the top lane's going to be difficult to shoutcast for, because nothing interesting is going to happen for a while. NASA stacks up and Yorick bounces off him in dramatic fashion. And Morgana misses her first Q of the day, ladies and gentlemen. She was 2 for 2, and she whiffed. Oh, I
well,
said
the,
there was nothing interesting going on, but it looks like forcing
Alright,
the
we've got
flash from
flashes
Nasus.
out.
That's a big, big early disadvantage he's put himself on, and he does the walk of shame back to his tower. Unfortunate.
Well-
And we've got a little invade happening now, and that has ended.
But
I think
go ahead.
Sorry, I was saying, I think that there's going to be a sort of a commonality between all the lanes at this stage in the game. I think that unless Yi is there, nothing's going to happen as far as the lanes go, just because of their matchups that they're against. The big thing that we're going to see, blue team is going to want to be a lot more passive because they have that scaling, versus red team really needs to make something happen, because if they don't get an advantage somewhere in the early stages of the game, they're really going to just get choked out late. If Nasus can control this wave and keep it sitting there, I think it's probably going to be the happiest world. Yi really looking to make something happen, but honestly, mid is going to be placed to really want that to happen right now, just because of the escapability and lack of CC from Nasus, and bots just really wanting to sit back and farm. So I think that if we're going to see some early action from blue, it's going to be around mid, or Yi invading the Maokai, because he's not going to want to take a 1v1 fight versus Yi.
But, one thing I do want to point out about that Nasus Yorick exchange up top, Yorick did also use his flash, so granted, not the best position to be in, flashless Nasus, but a flashless Yorick is kind of in the same boat in terms of maneuverability.
Yeah, actually that's a good point.
I think the difference between
just egging it up a bit so we got some more interest, you know. I'm just trying to make everything sound dramatic. I
think the big
hate
difference
that ability
between the two
BT
is
dubs.
So when you see a gank from Yorick's side, he's going to be looking for the cage. When you see a gank from the Nasus side, he's got the point and click of the slow. So it's like you guys pointed out, the redundancy and missing flashes is nice, but the edge is still going to go to Yorick simply because of damage potential output. Look at mid.
Andrew plays his zone so nicely. He's very familiar with that champion. You kind of have to hover the camera around Andrew for a little bit longer than you would normally, because I've played with him enough that I know that he usually comes up with something clever when you don't think anything's going to happen. Including but not limited to random summoner spells being popped at weird times and then a kill happens. He's quite low on mana, but so is Malzahar, so who's looking like they're pushing out an advantage here currently? There's a 10 CS lead on the Zoe. Does that matter?
Yes. Yes, it does. We'll see if it can translate into a longer lead, but at 5, going on 6 minutes, having already a sizable lead in the mid is a really, really good sign for the Zoe players.
Excellent. So, are we looking? What are you looking for out of I've forgotten the name that Clinton Palooza. I keep calling him Team Snugby. What is it you're looking for out of them in a winning performance today?
Is it the blue side? I don't know the names.
Blue side, yes.
Okay, so blue side, the big thing is they're going to need to sort of keep a slow tempo in the game and not get forced upon. Like we see this potentially happening up top. I'll let that roll out.
Word. Yes, that was absolute domination. You don't mess with Nasus when he's angry, and he was furious, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, and that was honestly bad timing from the Yorick. If you're going to push something like that, you want to do that before 6, just because of the passive damage coming out from the Nasus at 6. So that was just a bad decision making from the Yorick. He got a little impatient. If he wanted to pull that trigger, he should have a little bit earlier. But going back to the idea of what we're going to be looking for, hopefully, is that mid should be looking to extend the advantage and translate that into jungle leads. Because we've already shown that mid's having a good matchup. If we can translate that into a dominant roaming duo, wherever they want to go, they're going to win. And then as far as top and bot, I expect we'll probably see sort of just passivity is the goal from blue side right now, because they do just scale so incredibly well.
Using the wall to engage with his stun and poke out the Maokai, it's not going to matter all that much because Maokai is actually immortal, but still, clever little pokes here, getting into the heads of red side maybe.
I'm actually really surprised we didn't see the Caitlyn follow that stun with a trap, but we did see Yi was in the area, so maybe that's what they were holding back.
Now we're going for an early dragon. The red side will know because of the sleeping ward.
Double.
I'm going to keep the camera over here. Nasus is trading with Yorick. Now, did we see a steal, or is this first dragon for Clinton Palooza? This is very big.
Maokai is in there.
Secure.
But
And that was a huge play from red.
They've taken them all down. Does Caitlyn fall as well? Nasus is teleporting in. This is a lot of support. They're committing a lot bottom. Did they get the kill? They do. This is huge. This is a huge advantage for blue. Can we spiral this into early advantages? And what's Yorick going to take in return?
Oh, at least one turret plate here. Looking like it's going to be 2, but still the 3-for-1 in kills plus the dragon. for 2 or 3 turret plates, not a trade I'd be looking to make.
Yeah, you're seeing a real danger here in the gameplay and the comp that Red side brought in. All they have going for them is early combos, and they fudged their combo there up at Dragon. I don't know if we can get a chance to look back at that, but they came in with a really great idea of the Malzahar ult to lock the Yi down. That's exactly what you needed to go for a steal there, but they mistimed it. They either needed to focus out the kill on the Yi while he was stunned, or get the suppression down so that he can't smite it, and they can take it instead. Instead, they missed both of those objectives.
Here we have that Malzahar ult you were talking about. You get the suppression, but just barely mistimed.
Yeah, they really needed to either focus down the dragon or the Yi, and it looked like they split their attention there, and it was horrible results. Notably at the end there, we did lose a Vayne flash though for the greedy finish, so we do need to watch that as well though as a potential back in.
We got some extra attention up top here. Maokai ult coming down.
As my screen starters, and if he wants this,
But we do have Yi coming in.
Yeah, that was a little bit greedy. I think I saw what he wanted, but he's thinking he's got, you know, 2 completed items as a Yi when he doesn't yet, and so that didn't work out terribly well. I think that with that having happened especially, it doubles down on the fact that they're either going to win through Yorick or they're going to lose, because Red Team is not getting anything else they want besides that right now.
So we'll keep an eye on the top lane. It does look like the first tower may fall.
I think that's pretty likely with the Matron out for Yorick. That can eat a lot of turret hits.
And notably, he has red buff as well, so if Yi decides to go back in here, that could be really bad.
Has to be making the safe decision. Rarely, actually, yeah, but he did. We'll be looking for some signature clints from Colin during the game. We haven't had one yet, but...
I do want to draw attention to the bot lane, where we've got Caitlyn almost 20 minions up on the Vayne. You think that's just a product of the range?
Oh yeah, definitely. She's well, I don't know. The Vayne player is keeping it safe here, and against a Morgana Caitlyn, you have to. You don't have a choice. Coming into first item though is when we see the potential of the outfight happen. So if you see Morgana miss a binding, that could be a window to go in and capitalize on a gank.
Thoughts on the Malzahar ult there?
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of oopsies back and forth. I think that from the Zoe side, you really want to be able to pull your paddle star around his minions to be able to hit him, and we're still seeing the straight back, straight forward. But Malzahar also decided to pop ult, and now we see Yi going into V1. Okay, he decides to maybe rethink that. Good strategy. So at this point, I think we're seeing a little bit more leaning back towards that. Red is going to have early advantages in lane via the down top tower and about to be down bot tower. I wouldn't say that's necessarily concerning for the blue team yet. I think what they do to set up vision to account for that when those turrets go down is going to be more important than the fact that those turrets went down.
Yeah, it does look like Red has gotten a couple of deep wards into the jungle, particularly in the top side, with the tier 1 turret being down. That's a reasonable thing to do. But the question will be, how much information will they be given through that?
So I'm noticing that Yorick has now completed his mythic item and has a little bit of the CS lead due to the Nasus departing the lane slightly, and Nasus is a little behind on that, so I'm assuming that right now the advantage in the trades is firmly in Yorick's court.
It's really going to be a patience game here, especially with a champ like Nasus. Play it safe, play careful, don't give up too much, but do be willing to give up if necessary.
Oh, and that's that misbinding.
We got E coming in as well. And then top lane teleport from Yorick. We have every all member.
And we just end with a cease hostilities, a 1-for-1 trade.
2 for 1.
2 for 1 trade.
Lulu died off in front of that.
But we didn't match teleport, so that's notable as well. It is probably going to result in the dragon going over, but a little bit of a split attention there. As you saw, the Yi got ulted, which was great for positional, but he didn't peel back for his Vayne, which left him pretty open. You also see him opting for the more aggressive build pathway there, meaning that he's doubling down on that going in. Versus another playstyle. So we'll see how those options play out. Can we also get a check on what that Vayne item is?
I think it's New Quiver? Yeah.
Yep, New Quiver. Interesting.
He'll be building, what's it called, Kraken Slayer will be the item that he wants to get himself, I imagine.
Yep, yeah, I'd imagine that as well.
Especially as it stacks up with his already really rather fearsome passive damage.
Yeah, I think if I were going to give a piece of advice here to blue side, it would be, Yi, calm down. It's okay, son. Your team scales.
Now, if you know Tiki JK, otherwise known as Common Leg Weekend, he has one mode, and that is hard. That sounded wrong. I didn't mean it like that.
Did you know a lot about his hard mode, huh?
I certainly do from personal experience.
We've got a bit of a team fight developing mid. We do have was 5 on 5 until that first death on Zoe. But
yeah, and that was just really disrespectful as Zoe. But also of note, they didn't need to commit the Malzahar ult there. They had it, and we could see a follow-up.
It's gonna be hard with that Nasus being chunked down like that. There's a lot of.
Oh, I meant from red.
Oh yeah. But yes, yep. I wholly agree. Given the state of some of these health bars, and that was very aggressive. Unnecessarily
not worth
so.
It. Oh yeah,
and
that the entire team. Yep. Oof. Yikes. Yee, calm down, brother. So we will see the follow-up here in Caitlyn. I hope. Oh. There we go.
Just barely out of range on that paddle star.
But yeah, the follow-up is good. That's really important. I think that was a shutdown as well. We can get the check on that.
It was a shutdown.
Yes.
Or should have been.
No,
still
showing a 300 gold.
Yeah, I don't think that was a shutdown, unfortunately.
Oh, that's painful if that wasn't a shutdown. We really wanted to see that gold swing back over. But yeah, I think that the two plays that we saw there that were leading up to that tower take was, number one, the Zoe got caught going in and they double ulted to finish that. That was good from the blue team to not overcommit there, because one of the most common mistakes is when you see a teammate get caught out, you want to go in to try to save them. But if they've made a mistake, I say to my students pretty regularly, cut the dead limb off. Don't offer more up when somebody else has already made a mistake. And then Yi unfortunately decides to sort of double down on that exact theory and go in for the Malzahar, which was a 1-for-1 trade if they could get out there. But the Malzahar is just not a priority target right now. He didn't have a shutdown, it wasn't working. But hopefully we can see a turn here. With Caitlyn coming in, we got to watch that.
Yep. Did get the kill off on the Yorick. Galley.
And this should be a dead Caitlyn as well, yeah.
Yep. With the polymorph, that was well done. Got the shutdown onto Nasus.
Nasus is starting to hit hard. Noticeably, his damage has increased considerably since he completed his method, along with whatever stacks he's managed to pick up. Let's see how he's doing, actually, if I can get a correct update on that. He has 321 stacks moving into minute 18. He's on track to do quite
was also a good play from Meg there to make sure the kill did go on to the Nasus.
Yes,
with that shutdown gold.
Yeah, that Nasus is going to be critical to be able to match that Yorick. If you can't match the Yorick, he's going to just continuously push a lane and result in very bad days.
So is that what we're looking for from Nasus, then it's just to continually be a thorn in Yorick's side, he just has to push him down.
We do see Maokai down at the bottom as we're starting Rift here. So there is a good chance that this will be Rift here turning into a 4v5.
That's major cooldowns down.
Got
Zoe picked up the kill. But
yeah, sadly a losing trade.
it ended up being a 4v2 or 4-for-2.
Yeah, unfortunately, you really want to see the Vayne get through that to be able to lay down damage. We saw a little bit of a split front. We saw that red team came in with a Yorick late. We had blue team come in with a Zoe late. And unfortunately, the Zoe's going to be one of those pop factors versus that Yorick's going to be sustained damage. So if you see them right exactly what's happening now, Zoe really can't do anything about a Yorick. She's got to smile at him and ask him politely to leave, which he seems to be obliging.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being polite.
It does barely hang on at that tier 3 tower. So.
And that is important though, because you don't have the sheer ability to walk through without at least being noticed. So what I think I would look for right now is how blue team is going to cry. How they're going to cry. No, but how they're going to reset vision to deal with the lack of turrets and prepare for their next fights. I think that going forward, they need to be making a plan around E being more passive. He's down too much. I would also potentially look at using E as a split pusher, looking at a 1-3-1, because they don't really have anybody they really want to send in a side lane to answer the other side of wherever Yorick is. So probably you'd see Malzahar, but Malzahar's not really in a particularly good spot. Yi can still get to a point where you can solo Malzahar pretty happily. So that's what I would look for. Also, you're going to really want to make sure that your Vayne is starting to live through these fights. So throwing the Lulu ult down on that Vayne. And we're about to see a repeat here as Yorick gets greedy off of early game, hopefully.
You have Vayne nearby coming up to the jungle.
If anyone's seen the Arnold Schwarzenegger film The Terminator, this is giving me serious vibes. Oh, and Yi's overstaying.
He's got to not overcommit though.
That is
Oof.
the
Yeah,
bit
they
of a
didn't
lack of
commit
communication
together.
there.
Yeah, they did not commit together, and Yi just gets further behind. Ults are coming down, and it looks like they're going to end up in two different pickups here unless Vayne eats it. There you go. Yeah. Which is not looking good, though, because Red is just chipping away at Blue's security here. They really got to stop the bleeding to be able to get that late-game team comp that I was talking about completely online.
We did have the Rift Herald dropped top. It's a little bit far back in lane. I guess the timer on that was about to run. But Yorick is there to match the Nasus.
Oh, Yi. Oh, Yi. Okay,
Okay,
well,
That binding may have been the best thing that
yep,
ever
that
happened.
binding might have been a saving grace for Yi. He looks like he wants to get good trades in, and especially on that Caitlyn, getting a shutdown would be great. But I gotta question the aggression a little bit because maybe a little more calculation, a little less depth would go a long way. I mean, even still though, as much as I say that, Maokai really is being used as an ult machine right now, and that's it. So if you can get through that Maokai and that Malzahar just ulting together, because they've been doing it every single time, then the follow-up fight has a pretty good potential still for a Vayne, but you really got to prioritize getting that Vayne in a place where she can just unload. And I think that if it were me, I might suggest that Yi do one of two things. Either A, look tanky, as a form of initiation, which is what he's been looking like he wants to do, or B, sit in a side lane and just be annoying at how fast you can push. Because right now, the fights just aren't going in Yee's favor. Ooh.
Yeah, that's. And if we do have the 5v5 team fight, what are you looking for? Are you looking for Blue Team to kind of sit back and weather that initial Malzahar Maokai ult storm to then counterpunch with the Vayne, with the E, or something else?
Yeah, it's going to be hard now. I don't think they really want to take a 5v5 fight, to be honest. We're seeing Nasus make some questionable decisions there about going into an entire team with no damage backup. But honestly, it looks like they're kind of frustrated because it was their game, and they kind of made some key mistakes that look like it's going to be the death of them, unfortunately. I've got to question the Zoe pick into translation because it seemed like the rest of the team really wanted to sit on a late game, and I was going to justify that pick being a getting into late game by controlling mid-tempo with the E, but it didn't seem like they really did much together, and I think at this point, there's not really a viable way for them to get back into it, unfortunately.
It would be really hard at this point. They are solidly on the back foot. That turret's going to go down here, as well as probably the inhibitor. They've got enough body to tank the shots, even with Nasus coming in there.
I think the big two things to note looking forward into a next game, because at this point it's what I'm doing, unfortunately, is number one, if you're going to pick an early game champion with a late game team comp, you're going to want to probably do so to try to get some stability somewhere. So like I said, if Zoe and Yi go off on, you know, an adventure, wherever they want to go, they're going to bring a win to that place. Which we did see with the Dragon take early on. But it felt like we didn't capitalize enough on that Zoe pick, and then you get into this stage of the game where if Zoe isn't a side threat to that Caitlyn, then Zoe loses some of that scariness from even a one lane early on. And the fact that we can't get that Vayne in because there's not enough of a front to back, you know, team comp ability, exactly, fight style. Because even with a Lulu ult, Yi's just disappearing. And part of that is because of his itemization, and part of that is because of his level. And so ultimately what you want to see is that Yi gets onto that Caitlyn and pops her with the Zoe before she can do anything else. And then you see safety in the rest of Nasus' line moving forward with Vayne being able to just shred through. I think at this point, the thing that we're going to have to look for as far as this game goes is a big mistake.
Gotcha. Fairly standard Baron play here. Nothing too crazy. So we do have five Baron buffs all the way across, and it looks like they're just going to shove it down mid. I wouldn't be surprised to see one or two folks splitting off to another lane here.
I feel like we might see the final two.
I think they're just going to end it. Yeah, I think this is going to end.
That's definitely the aim.
Yeah, unfortunately at this stage in the game, like I said, there's not really much back in. And the fact that they had already lost their inhib towers means that there's no real fight. I think that if they were gonna have fought for it, they should have fought for it at the Nexus rather than the inhibs. But like I said, I think that's sort of the nail in the coffin rather than you know, a major misplay.
The game has ended.
Yeah. Oh, okay, right.
And we had rewound a bit, so that's why it did freeze up.
As far as okay, I panicked for a second.
Alex, is there anybody you want to grab and get into here for a post-game interview or anything like that?
Yeah, I'd love to hear from the Zoe specifically about the selection from Zoe there. If it was a comfort pick or if there was an overall team strategy going into that, because I think that there had potential there, but it didn't. I didn't see what they wanted out of it.
I'm gonna grab him in here, and we're gonna see what happens. So he might be talking to people, but we'll get Andrew in and see what's going on. Ready? Hello, Andrew.
All right, Andrew. Thanks for joining us. For
hi.
Post game. We do have Alex here with us, providing a bit more technical expertise than either Sam or I have. So yeah, just initially thoughts about that first game. and we'll get into some specifics later.
So that kind of spiraled out of control very fast. Uh, they basically played like a super hard push comp, uh, where their entire strat just seemed to be to shove down the map. And I think our team had a bit too much late game, and could not get there fast enough.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
The Zoe, obviously a comfort pick for you, and kind of standing out as the one not late game champion.
And she's still technically a late game champ.
Yeah,
That's
so the thing that I'm most interested in with that comp is that what did you want out of Zoe in that comp specifically? Were you looking at you know, winning lane? Were you looking at trying to provide some specific element, or what was your main thought process with the Zoe pick?
Mine was to hold Malzahar down, because while it might traditionally be considered a counter pick the opposite way, I feel really confident of Zoe into Malzahar, which I feel is evidenced by the fact that I think I was actually ahead of him in CS for a while there.
Oh yeah.
A
Uh,
large majority.
Yeah.
uh, but in the end, it didn't matter because we couldn't make any progress anywhere else, to the point that he finally was able to just go, either wave, it's all dead, catch. And I was then either just trying to keep the tower from chipping down, and I couldn't go anywhere else.
Yeah, no, I hear you completely. I think the thing that like you said sort of really hurt was the fact that you were a late game comp, they were a push comp, um, and so you've gotta have a partial understanding. I think that you're gonna have lost some stuff. I think that's just expected no matter how well you play, and I think that it seemed exponential when you guys would seem to get something lost, and then unfortunately that would snowball into something else lost. And so, like you said, it started becoming harder and harder to get to the point where it looked like that late game was a viable option at the end. I think um, the comp didn't look bad at all to me. I think the thing that I would have liked to have seen out of the comp would be the thing I said in stream was that Yi and that Zoe together. I think wherever they want to go early on, um, everybody should be afraid of that. And I think that getting an advantage in one of your side lanes, especially you start getting advantages like you did around Dragon. If that can start to snowball in you guys' favor, then the team ends up in a much happier spot coming into that mid game. But I think overall, like you said, you showed what should have been a Malzahar winning lane, in the sense of you just absolutely dicked all over him.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that your comp looked great, and it's just interesting to see what you guys are going to want to change or keep going into game two as far as gameplay goes, because your
Yeah,
comp is
we're
really good.
one of the things that we are considering switching up in this next game is we're doing kind of a position swap to provide different champion options. We're going to be having Meg as our jungler for this one, and Colin is going to support. So we're going to see if the different champion selection out of Meg and using her macro will help create better pressure situations.
So that'll be
Well,
Sejuani in the
I
jungle then, I'm assuming.
But
yeah.
I'm going to have to hop back because we are now matched up against
best of luck.
Morgan Wrath Gay, and so I can discuss picks and bans. So
Yep.
stay
Well,
tuned.
thanks for dropping by, and best of luck to y'all.
Right. I was coming to steal him. Keep doing what y'all doing.
Of course.
See,
So just a little bit of a comment on that lane swap that we're going to have coming up. As Sam mentioned, we'll likely see the Sejuani out of Meg, which will give a little bit more bulk to that front line, a little bit less explosive potential than the Yi, but some bodies for that Vayne to get behind, Vayne or Callista, because it will probably be one of the two to stay
exactly.
behind and eat some of that. Then looking at the support role from Colin, we're probably going to see a caster support in the vein of Lux or Brand.
It
He's
will
a
be
big
brand
Lux
unless
fanatic.
it's banned. I imagine it will be brand unless it's banned because his brand is aggressive and very
So
successful
what you're
with it.
telling me is it's not unique to jungle, his playstyle of we want to kill them now.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Colin is incredibly aggressive, and like when I play with him, say in solo queue, which I realise is very different to organised play, I find that myself I have to adjust my style to match him, because if you don't go in on it, like obviously what happened in the previous game with the disconnect is that it's too hard, too much. But if you all
yeah,
like commit to it, it can provide results, and it does provide results. And he's actually a good player. Like when it works for him, but I feel that sometimes his incredibly balls to the wall style doesn't get pared down when maybe the rest of the people aren't going to commit to it.
yeah.
And
If you're playing in solo queue and looking to carry, that's a fine mentality. But when you are playing your full team against another full team, the communication needs to potentially be better there. Yeah, one thing that you did miss, Alex, is we did this yesterday as well with Clash, and both the first two games, there were a number of times where Colin was a bit overextended with that aggressive push that he likes, and Jungle just came in right behind and a clean gank out of the other team. But we do have history information for that Morgan Rath team that they'll be playing next. If we want to take a quick look at that, maybe some thoughts
Yeah,
on
definitely
bans.
looking over that right now.
I figured you were. You were nice and quiet. So, any preliminary go-tos for these
Yeah, I think
bans?
that the first thing that we're going to see, especially if you're expecting a Sejuani, is going to want to make sure that she doesn't get hard pooped on in jungle. Notably, this seems to be an ADC and jungle heavy team, meaning that that's where I would probably focus my bans if I were them. I think that right off the bat, one of the things that concerns me is the Hecarim, both in Clash wins and in ranked wins. So Hecarim would probably be one of my immediate looks to ban. Also, wanting to pay attention to the fact that it seems to be pretty much only a Morgana player in the support position. You can let that through and play knowing that that's going to be coming up, or you can snap them off that champion in hopes that they get really uncomfortable. Either way, I think you can choose to go either way you want to with that one. I think the hard part is that ADC looks like you either throw all your bans at them, or you're going to get something let through that maybe you weren't necessarily happy with. Obviously, the MF, the Jin, the Jinx being all scary options with a Morgana support.
Yeah.
So I'd probably at this point I would say start off with Hecarim ban, round out with some ADC bans, see if they'll force the ADC pick early and try to play around that. Take advantage of the support who doesn't seem to be particularly comfortable, and go from there.
Gotcha. One thing we didn't hear anything about there was the mid lane. And
Yeah,
looking at these histories, probably Winters there in the mid lane.
yeah,
Uh,
it's hard to say exactly what mid will do. It seems like mid is going to favor the boomer bust playstyle, um, aka the Fizz, the Yasuo, the Cat. It looks like some of their most success has been on Kaisa, which I don't expect has actually been in mid. We could have been. I don't know. I think the only thing that would potentially scare me coming out of mid is the Kassadin, which just gets to be a ramping nuisance late game so hard. But honestly, I held off on commenting because of how oppressive mid was last game. I don't anticipate there being a problem coming out of mid this game. I think that mid is going to be a point of strength for our team, and I would look to see if you can translate that win mid into something else. Because at this point, I'm not even going to really question it. I think mid is going to win for us. It's just a matter of how they win, how they decide to impact the rest of the map with that win.
Gotcha. And you were talking in that vein. You were talking about the Yi Zoe roam from the last game.
Hmm.
If we do see the Sejuani, how does that factor in with the Zoe? Just assuming it's Sejuani Zoe. Um,
Yeah, it's hard. They don't necessarily go super happily well together. I would probably say I'd actually look to send Sejuani top and try to ramp that. And then if you're going to send Zoe somewhere, send Zoe bot. Because I think if you're talking about a heavy damage bot, like it sounds like we might have here, then supplementing that with a Zoe would be really great. I think that
well,
it's
it
gonna
won't be
end
the
up.
Zoe. We are getting some bans coming through now. Quintapalooza has banned Hecarim, Kassadin, and Mordekaiser. That Hecarim that you mentioned being the first
Yeah,
ban
really
right
important.
off the bat. And Morganwrath has banned Vayne, Yi, and Zoe. So with the switch in jungle, the Yi's not too bad of a ban. But the Vayne suggests
Zoe.
we'll be seeing Callista, and then the Zoe,
It'll be a
um,
Nivea.
likely Anivia, yes.
Unless he plays his Talia.
Yeah, Talia or Seraphine are potential options there as well.
So I think that what it looks like we went for in bans was basically the alternate mode of what I would suggest, and that is instead of focusing the ADC, they're just completely leaving the ADC open in order to focus out some of the less strong overall players. So they're trying to win through what looks like every other lane and maybe admitting some fall behind in the ADC. Hard to
Gotcha.
see exactly what's going to happen without seeing some more picks, but I think I'd love to see an Anivia mid, so we'll see how that turns out.
Yes.
Yeah, so basically,
It's one of his stronger champions as well, so it usually is quite impressive. It just depends on the person we're playing against as well and what they pick into it. Which, given that the Zoe ban may have come out, oh no, because it was the last one I was going to say, because when the Kassadin was banned, that might be facilitating it, because the little silence he has really wrecks the ultimate for Anivia.
well,
There we go.
it is the Anivia. Confirmed. We've got the first round of picks coming in. Nasus up top again. Kaisa actually coming out for as the ADC.
Interesting.
And that'll be a denial
Whereas
pick, I imagine, because firstly we told Aiden to start practicing Kai'Sa, but also they've got a decent Kai'Sa, so it means that we don't have to spend a ban on it. Maybe it's a pick up for the team, which means that they don't have to ban it, I'm thinking.
Well, there's not been much Kaisa play on the one who looks to be their ADC, but that ADC just does appear to have a very deep champion pool. We're looking at Xayah, MF, Aphelios, Ashe, just Jhin, Jinx. The list goes on. So,
Yep.
and speaking of that, they did pick Misfortune for the ADC, as well as the Morgana that we expected, and Aatrox up top.
Yeah, this is definitely an interesting draft. I feel like it's a little bit out of priority is the thing that's interesting to me. I think the picks are not necessarily surprising, but normally in a solid draft, you kind of want to see you hide your solo lanes. Unless they're just giant power picks for you in general. So I guess that's what we're leaning towards is getting our power picks off. But unfortunately, it means our counter is going to come in the form of support in jungle, and it sounds like we already know what we're getting out of jungle. So
Yeah.
not really a counter option there.
Not 100%. There has been some Warwick play out of jungle for Meg as well, but not. It is a fairly limited pool. I know the Nasus first pick is very much a power pick for Tyler. It's what he's most comfortable on these days.
Ban phase 2
As is
results
the
are coming
Anivia.
through now with they will update it now. So our team banned Rammus and Katarina. Katarina's a good ban because that champion right now interactions with certain items are nutty, and they banned Colin out very hard with both his brand and his Lux gone.
Yeah, that's dangerous. They read into that lane swap apparently early on, and got that out. I think that this is going to be kind of dangerous looking at bot lane where we were trying to hope for a strong lane and now maybe not so much. It's going to be interesting to see how they decide to pick it out from there.
Just one comment on the Anivia pick in the first round. I would think that Anivia would be a highly targeted ban for ban phase 2 if it didn't come out in the first round. So,
Yeah.
All right, picking that at that point is all right, and then we're getting the final round of picks in. It is Megon the Sejuani, as expected, and then Malzahar, which,
interesting.
in the vein of the Brand and the Lux, as that kind of caster support rather than a more traditional.
The thing to watch for with that Malzahar support that's going to be interesting is it's really going to need level 6, because otherwise Malzahar really looks for push, and you're not going to be able to push when your ADC is trying to last hit. And so I would expect that probably their bot lane would answer with something. Excuse me, their team would answer with something aggressive to try to aggress onto that Malzahar.
It's exactly what they did. They picked Pantheon, who will probably...
Yeah, well, that would do it. So
Yep.
I would expect that what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to pop his shield and abuse the ever-living bejesus out of that Malzahar in the bot lane. Because that is where their strength lies, in the fact that we let their ADC completely pick whatever they wanted. So it's gonna be a hard matchup in the bot. Let's it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do around those picks, and if they can really make the Nasus and the Anivia power picks get a lot of value. Because if they can't, then that looks like a mistaken draft, and if they can, then they know exactly what they're doing with their comfort. So I think it's going to be a big opportunity. I'm not sure I like the Malzahar there. I don't know if he just didn't have any other better options, or if they're seeing something that I don't.
Okay. We are getting a little bit of a...
We'll make a note of that, and we will ask them later, because
Well,
I've not seen it.
Before we get too far into that, we have coming through in chat, actually, from 31 Gallium. It's going to be an Anivia support Malzahar mid.
I like that better. I like that a lot better.
Yes.
Which I absolutely is a...
I think that Anivia is going to have a little bit of a hard time still in the bot lane, but I think less of a hard time than the Malzahar will.
Much less reliant on that level 6 than the Malzahar pick, especially since they're not the one that's going to be pushing. So that AoE damage, it does get you the frostbite for the E,
Yep.
but and that's going to be its primary use rather than the massive wave clear. Could also late game allow you a little bit of split pushing, since you have both Malz and Anivia that are great wave clear.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the exact interaction is. I'd love to know, and we might see it, hopefully we will. If I don't know the interaction between Anivia Wall and Misfortune Ult, if it bops her back or if it cancels it. That could be a really cool interaction.
Because it's a displace if you're on top of the wall. Another fun interaction with the wall that we learned from playing Anivia is that if you hit them with 2 spells and then displace them with the wall, it triggers Electrocute, which is hilarious to watch someone die when they didn't know how.
From a wall. Yep.
From a wall.
Yep. No, absolutely.
We are
obviously not
an
integral part of damage kit, but still can help.
It's an Easter egg, not a feature.
Yeah, exactly.
It definitely gets a laugh out of you. I wouldn't play around it myself, but we are 36 seconds away from joining the game, and once we're in, I will switch the scenes and we will enter the rift where we can get in with the action. I'm happy to hear about the Anivia Malzahar switch, because Malzahar support hasn't been a thing for several seasons, and Colin's also really good in Anivia, and Anivia got a lot more aggressive recently, fitting his style quite well. So I'm excited to see if they can pull it out through the bottom there. That sounded bad.
The 2 things that I think I would look for out of the comp is, once again, we got to understand we're aiming towards later game. It's okay to give up a few things. If they can calculatedly give up small increments in order to get big ones back later, I think that'll be fine. I think also notably that Malzahar hopefully is going to make that Pantheon's job miserable, because that Pantheon's going to want to be one of the first ones in, and if he is, I expect to see a quick kill back on him. So it's going to be about that play between passive and aggressive styles, and it's going to be interesting to see these 2 teams match up, because they're looking for 2 completely different things, and we'll see if they're super caught up upside down by the shoop-de-whoop switch of the Malzahar and Anivia. Yeah, we'll just have to see.
Alright,
And we
so
are getting close to the rift.
we are almost loaded in, so as soon as my computer gets us back in... Oh, we're actually on the rift right now, so I will quickly get us the scoreboard up as you requested and close that down. Alright, so we're loaded in.
Get
We've got
folks in
the blue
order.
side of Clintapalooza, that is Malzahar in the mid lane, a Nivea support played by Chicky JK. We've got the Nedia, that's Aiden on Kaiser, and Megs, Gallium 31 on Sejuani in the jungle, going up against Team... God damn it, I've forgotten their names as well.
Morganrath.
Team Morganrath with the tag of Gay, with B-Dog Chris on his Aatrox pick. You've
Ooh,
got
we're seeing an invade here. This is going to be big, potentially.
it
Remember
is-
I told you last time that we saw the potential CC advantages on the other side? So they decided to get some early potential out. What I want to see here is them drop a ward before they leave, because they've got to know that the other team's going to try to answer on the other side. And so we could see a vertical jungle here, which I think is going to favor blue side if Nasus can stay safe. It's going to be interesting to see if they stick it out though, or if they spot the reverse invade.
Well, Malzahar
Malz-
looks to be going to sniff it out.
Malzahar and Nasus both appear to be
2v2 I think is still mildly in favor of red side, but we could definitely see a steal back here. If they get cheeky with it, maybe a Q to solidify, or they could just give it over completely.
getting a good distance away, but that is going to keep Aatrox out of lane for a minute.
Notably, what I would like to see here is Meg do exactly what she's doing and stick around to finish off the rest of the jungle. They know where the other jungler is, so it is going to turn into a vertical jungle path. What they do around Scuttle is going to dictate the rest of their pathing from here on out. But, I mean, taking the bot side, while it yields some kill pressure, it's also taking Dragon. So, not necessarily a bad trade for verticality for blue team.
And the other thing that, or really the question is, would you, looking at these bot lanes, which one do you expect to be better pushed?
Ooh, that's gonna probably go to blue side inadvertently. Maybe not necessarily because they want to, but because Anivia is going to sort of make that happen. But we also see some really great early aggressive trades at a level 2 top, which is amazing for blue side, because we do expect red to be the more comfortable side right now based on the champion picks that they got through.
Yeah, but the follow-up there then on the vertical jungle is that does take some of the pressure away from them, since they will likely be pushed
100%.
up.
Yep, 100%.
It keeps Pantheon on that top side and gives them a little more security.
We saw a respectful flash out of Malzahar, which is, I think, exactly what he needed to do. You've really got to track that Pantheon. Just like I said in last game about the Zoe and the Yi is going to be true of the Pantheon and whoever he decides to go with. We're also going to be watching top. Nasus needs to stay safe here. If he can get to 10 minutes, 15 minutes without any deaths, I think that's our metric for success for him. Because he's not going to win this damage matchup without getting an early 6.
Gotcha.
So we've
So
just
we
got
do
backs,
see
hidden backs by Malzahar in the mid, not too much going on with that lane. Victor's got a slight CS lead, but nothing major.
Oh, the big thing that we can look at too in that bot lane is that Misfortune is about as well, which means that she is not in a happy place. She's been using, I think, that that E to try to pick up CS, which is not cost efficient, and it means that she's going to have very little damage recourse back. Normally, if you're going to want to see
you
a
have
good
the
MF,
gate coming in. Lovely Anivia wall. And
beautiful
First Blood,
pickup.
Yeah.
Beautiful pickup. What you're going to want to see as red team's response is that they're probably going to want to get a kill either mid and top. If mid and top can stay safe for blue side, that's a great early lead for blue.
So we got Pantheon back in the red jungle, getting a ward down. But with Nasus is pretty well under tower, so that's not too much of a concern. Malzahar is hugging his as well right now.
Could see Meg go in though.
Yes. I feel like she might be
Nasus
coming-
and Malz will need to collapse if they decide to fight there, but it looks like they
Pantheon
are
is
going
waiting.
for the Nasus.
Yep.
Yep, they're definitely going for the Nasus here. I think the flash was a little bit short-sighted, but you end up getting a return flash from Pantheon
Yeah.
as he left too early. I think if Nasus could have held that flash, he could have outplayed it, but it looked like he kind of flashed
We
it
get
late.
the flash in from Sejuani here as well. To
It
try and
should
pick
be a
up the
pickup,
kill.
yeah.
Yep. The question is, how does the Aatrox
And
respond?
there's not going to be anything he can do, I don't think. Malzahar coming around, though, is going to be able to do something.
Yep. Do have the ward down, so they can see him coming up river.
It looks like he'll
quite have
just-
level 6. Yep. Oh. And a kill in the bot lane while we were focused
We
up
missed
there.
that one.
If you wanna-
On the ADC, nonetheless. Yeah, if we can
Yeah.
get a replay of that, I really want to
Yeah.
see what happened down there. Because what we anticipated being a
beautiful
red
wall
side win.
into the stun. Yep. Just a lot of damage coming out of that
Wow.
Anivia
Yep.
on the support with the Kai'Sa cleanup.
Alright, I will now zoom us forward to the current year.
And I think that the notable thing, even when taking a swap, a kill on the bot for a kill on the top, is that that's where you want your money. And the Nasus is going to get big no matter what you do if you just let him farm. Versus the ADC getting big early is not a given for later on. So that I would take that trade all day long. I would keep this vertical jungling, I would take that dragon, and I'd just snowball that pressure.
Well, keep in mind, it wasn't a 1-for-1 trade. It was a 2-for-1 because the Pantheon died getting at to the Sejuani getting out of that top engage.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, the Sejuani answer was good there. But yeah, that dragon is where I'm looking next, because that Pantheon looks like he's sticking it out, trying to get those kills in those solo lanes, which is fine because that's what you expect with that vertical jungle. But if it's giving 100% pressure to exactly what we see happening right now, which is free dragon, which for blue side, I would continue to opt into that trade every single time.
What is red side going to want to do here to not make it just a totally free dragon? I mean, if we see it taking the blue, but
Honestly,
is there really
I
a
think-
response there?
I think you let him have it for free, but you answer via either pressure or a kill in the solo lanes. Like, for example, we saw mid and top basically back during that dragon, which was a misplay on red side. In my opinion, when you see that dragon about to happen, you send that Pantheon into that solo lane to either get free push with the laner or to get a kill. I don't necessarily agree with Meg chasing this Pantheon. That's not a 1v1. Oh, we do have a
It's
back.
not a
That's
1v1.
why.
But Malzahar's out of mana.
Yes, that is.
Then yes, it is a 1v1
Yeah.
because
Pantheon
Malzahar
is
auto
right
is
there.
not doing too much.
Or no, not Pantheon. Nasus.
I would have liked to see the kill go over to Nasus, but the collapse was absolutely better macro from blue side, so that is a great tournament.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of make it rains coming out of that misfortune.
That was 100% a beautiful play by the ADC to save a caught out support. Most ADCs you're going to see turn around and be like, well, shit, my Anivia's got nothing left, and wait for the egg to come out. As opposed to we saw the opt-in from Kai'Sa to get the reverse damage down.
One thing I just noticed as well, Alex, we have 70 CS to 28 CS in the bot lane in the favor of Kai'Sa.
We do see
Pantheon.
Pantheon coming in, but I think they should be able to get out. Oh, with the Victor behind them, they aren't, though. And a fail flash over the wall is going to mean death.
Yep, but that's a lot of resources committed for the one death. Granted, it does pop the Anivia egg, which is on a bit of a cooldown, but so long as Malzahar Kai'Sa extracts appropriately here, not too big of a loss.
That's a considerable lead in the bot lane, in my opinion. A good 50 CS at
Well, there's
9
no
minutes.
opinion to it. That's a considerable
Yeah,
lead,
that is
period.
a drumming,
Yes.
Yeah.
That is absolutely.
They are taking their advantage from that kill and trying to translate it a jungle, but it looks like the return fight on them is just going to be so strong.
I think they overstayed their welcome.
I think they did, yeah. You got red. At what cost, red team? At what cost?
Well, they didn't get red because it ended up on Malzahar after that Pantheon
Well,
kill.
yeah, so the
Very
transfer
strong trades from
keeping on a
Aatrox,
mid.
which is the Aatrox modus operandi, so not a surprise to anyone.
Yep, no, 100%.
But we do have Rift Herald coming down bot.
Yeah, having the Rift be able to pop out bot is going to be dangerous.
Big ult from, well, Nasus decides he's having none of that, and I'm going to leave that to them.
Got matching ults coming out in the top lane.
Two big, beefy boys slapping beef, and that's about where that ends.
Yeah, without their items complete, it's not going to really translate into much yet, but it is leaning towards, as we see that CS lead, Aatrox favored. But like I said before, if Nasus can get out of the laning phase without having given his laner a considerable advantage, then it will swing back into his favor
Now,
eventually.
are we about to see an overextension by the ADC here into a Pantheon game?
No, but we will do one by the support.
Yeah, I don't think they... That's a lot of damage traded, though. MF can... Well, and not if support doesn't come.
Oh,
It just didn't matter because they were not on the same page. Honestly, that was red team's fight to take,
Yeah,
and none of them were there at the same time.
Yeah, I was concerned that we were about to see pick up.
Victor is there, though.
we'll see. How that
Meg is
plays
coming
out.
in, so both side lanes are about to see potential action. But nope, Anivia disengages.
Anivia
And
wall,
instead we
we
see
got
the
the gank
Aatrox,
up
who could
top.
still turn this, though.
Absolutely. That is definitely not a.
She needs to snipe the stun. She
Oh, I
does.
don't like that flash. I don't like that flash. Oh my god, does the burn? Yes, the burn
Burn
gets
does.
it. Now run! Run, guys, run! The
Yeah,
Pantheon is going to want to look to ult if they stop at any given point. The flash is going to come through, and that's probably going to be a pickup for both of them. Pantheon decides to play it safe, only picks up one of them.
Does end up being a
Stealing
1-for-1.
his Q on a shorter cooldown, that was a double kill because of the execute critical there, but he decided to
once again,
walk away.
the kill did not go onto the Nasus. It did go onto the Juani.
Yep. Which I don't think they could have done much about there. It was stretched out all the way to a burn death. So, is it optimal? No. Would I fault it in a replay, even as a coach? No.
No. No, you're definitely not saying that there was anything wrong with that play. Just an overall.
Absolutely.
thing
Is
to
gold not
notice.
where you really want it?
But gold is gold, and we'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Seeing overall gold at 3.5K, almost 4K, 4K
Yeah,
advantage.
getting absolutely destroyed.
At the 4K.
Stealing yet another beautiful kill there.
Got Pantheon coming in.
Which didn't follow up on it. So it means that that Pantheon CD is down for what would be catching the wave, and that is it. Which means free dragon again?
Yes. Yes, precisely.
And
then
from the blue side here. They don't
we do
make
have
any mistakes.
potentially a little bit of overextension from Aiden.
Juke. Juke! Oh, and the juke comes through, or potential miss. But he does not get the kill at the end with Pantheon. So it is, can say in all chat, #worth.
I will note that there has been, for my taste, a disappointing lack of shit talking from either side. It's been very sportsmanlike, and this is not what we signed up for.
Yeah, as opposed to the normal collegiate level competition that I'm used to seeing, this is absolutely status quo.
I mean, we haven't seen one mastery flash, just that I'm aware of.
I have benched my players for dancing on corpses before, so...
No one has ever, no one has questioned anyone's parentage. No one is claiming to have spent any time in physical relationships with anyone's mother. I'm frankly a little disappointed, and I want that to start changing immediately, please.
That's funny. So overall, looking at some gold differentials here, never mind, we're gonna get some fights.
Got Pantheon on the bot.
Kite it. And we see that exactly happen. And the Mist
I mean,
Mist
we have
Morgana
that.
means turn immediately. Yep.
Yeah, and we do have
And
Malzahar coming in.
that is
Wall
that is
again from
beautiful.
Anivia.
That is beautiful. I wish I wouldn't have seen that flash, but you know, ride it out, baby, ride it out.
Yeah, probably not necessary there, but
The
kill
assertion of
secure.
dominance. You're knowing that you don't need that for the next 5 minutes, so you might as well blow it now for laughs.
I do want to pull back to exactly what I had said, anticipating the Zoe mid, but exactly what I said before. I wanted to see the jungler go top and the mid go bot, and that is exactly what's been happening over and over again. And this is the success that I think they could have had if they had kept the mid jungle combination together last game. So overall, I think the really only scary part left is coming into team fights. If Red really gets a great wombo off, is the only thing I think Blue should fear at this point.
But I do have to point out right now the 60 minion difference in bot lane, 119 to 59.
And that's a big Sejuani, which results in another pickup. The Pantheon's been pummeled into insignificance at this point.
Very nearly.
Unfortunate
Oh,
return kill there with the Victor Shield.
Yeah, I think they looked
There's a
to
little bit of
stutter
green
step
there.
a little bit. They need to leave. They need to hard give this tower right here. They're not going to hold it. It's not worth it. Unless Tyson can pull some shenanigans. And it looks like they'll give the respect. So, unfortunately, ended up getting that Anivia egg pop. But yeah, at this point, you really need to respect that Kaisa, because that's a lot of gold there.
oh, absolutely. We do have Nasus up on top tower right now.
Yeah,
and-
if they can escort this for 2 hits with Shelly, then we could see 3 towers go down all at once here. 1. Okay, can we get the count? Is top gonna go down next?
GP inbound. That's Malzahar arriving.
Unfortunately, Nivea
And that's 2 towers. That is 2
and now
towers.
3. So if they can get out alive with the rest of their members, then I'm gonna say once again in all chat #worth. But it doesn't look like Miles is gonna make it out here.
Highly unlikely.
So 3 towers, like I said. Wish we didn't have to trade 2 people for that, but you know, at the end we can still call #worth.
Yeah. It's still an 8k gold lead there.
Who got the shutdown kill gold? That is the important part out
It
of
was
those deaths.
Malzahar got the shutdown on, or not, Victor.
Victor got the shutdown on Anivia.
So we're gonna look to Victor to be the answer against Kaisa. If we can pop Victor early in the fights, then Kaisa's gonna have no threat, and we'll be happy. If not, we're gonna be crossing our fingers. So yeah, the big heads-up matchup I'm looking at now is the Kaisa versus the Victor. Whichever one goes down first in a team fight means that we're potentially. Oh, and that's just
That's
dirty.
a nice solo kill.
That man has a family. You gotta let him eat every now and then. But yeah, get Kaisa out. That is the name of the game for this comp,
Yep.
and I think you just have to full pull back with Kaisa at this point. It's not worth potentially dropping.
No. That was
Miscommunication. That was giant miscommunication. And he gets out anyway because of a TP return. This is just, we're running them down. What do they want? Let's give it to them.
Yep.
So we end up turning around
We got
with an enormous
Nasus
goal.
with the Wither on Victor.
There's no
Oh.
escaping. There is no escaping an Nasus when he's angry.
Oh my gosh. I just got a question because that was what Red Team could get out. I mean, if you're looking at a dream Red scenario, it is that they just continuously make oopsie positional errors. And Red just didn't capitalize. And Blue's like, so you don't want to win? Then we'll just win. It's fine. We'll take it. You know, we realized we messed up. We're not going to do that again. We'll just round it out here.
The problem is, Colin will do that again. I'm fairly certain at this point he is trolling, but he's getting away with it somehow.
They should get Aatrox here 100%. Yep.
Absolutely. We do have Colin in, so I'm guessing we have an upcoming FF.
Yeah, I think that doesn't necessarily surprise me at this point. When we're talking about what I was talking, draft-wise, what their strengths were going to be, I was kind of stressed, to be honest, that we were giving over the ADC. And the answer is we was like, okay, pick whatever you want. We're gonna murder you in lane.
Yeah,
And
this is a much better showing from Team Wubong 420 than it was in the other game, so I'm much happier to see very dominant performances from players I believe in.
yeah, I think that, like I said, from a red team, what are you looking at? What is your metric back into the game? It's just that hoping that blue team just absolutely bungles positioning, gets a pick, then gets a dream team fight, even if they're down, that pick they would want on the Kaisa into a team fight that would favor them without the Kaisa being up. But even still, it's not a gimme. So I think the Baron
the Baron's going down fast. Victor is on the top side of the map as Aatrox. Pantheon's down bot.
Yeah, this is trickle flow gush. They started losing advantages for red side. They started actively just losing a lot. They're still opting into that same build path, which at this point they're not going to be able to survive the damage. So I just don't see anything poorly happening for blue side from here on out. I mean, even short of hearing a member come in, meaning that the game must be finished. I don't. What could I imagine as a worst case scenario for blue? A Kaisa getting picked out, dying, and then Anivia and Nasus and Malzahar saying, you know what, it's okay, we do a lot of damage too.
Yeah, that's. I mean, if you look at the chunk that came out of Aatrox,
Pantheon is in Jody. Yep, and that's exactly what he wanted. Remember what I talked about? That Malzahar is going to make that Pantheon's day absolutely miserable if he tries to do exactly what he just did. And they're not even going to get the Nasus! Oh, it feels so bad! They're not getting anything out of this. Oh, and this is just murder. This is just murder. This is
that is dirty.
100%. They wanted to get a nugget out of that, and they were given nothing.
There we go. 4 surrenders. That is,
that is a solid surrender vote.
You know what else that is? That is them immediately after that surrender uninstalling League of Legends because they can't handle that loss. That wasn't a loss. That was a slaughter.
It was savage.
All right,
that
so
was absolutely horrible for
I'm
Red
thinking
team.
we get our jungle Sejuani in here.
All right, I'll drag
get
her
Meg
over.
for the post game interview.
All right, she's coming in. Ready?
Yep.
Meg, hi.
All right.
Oh.
Hey. So, overall thoughts on that last game?
So I guess I'm a jungler now. Yeah, no, that felt really good. I'm not really a jungler. Typically, I play Sejuani and Amumu when absolutely forced, and Warwick to watch him dance. But no, I think that was really good. I had a lot of fun with shot calling, and everybody collapsed so well. It was such a joy to be like, hey guys, Pantheon's in the jungle, and then already Malzahar was on his way. I was like, what? I'm having help here? It was, people, worked together so freaking well that game, and it
was
awesome.
absolutely beautiful macro play and communication. There were 1 or 2 little hiccups, like Colin coming up through river, through the entire enemy team there.
Oh, I didn't even watch that.
Getting out anyway.
Thank God I didn't.
Getting out anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that felt really good. I had a lot of fun, so I think maybe only team jungling. Solo queue jungling is not something that I will ever force myself through. However, yeah, that was fun. That was a good time. I really liked it.
You did
Gotcha.
a very
Alex,
good job,
any
Meg.
Thank you.
questions or thoughts?
Yeah, I'm interested in your plan from the beginning. It looked like, as we sort of had heard from the others, that you would be a little bit more macro-centric and a little less kill-centric. And so it sounds like, based on your own feedback as well, you sort of fell into that shot caller role. Was top what your focus was for most of the game? Is that what the plan was? Or is that a product of just opportunity? Or what did you want to get optimally out of Sejuani? Because you ended up getting a lot, but was that what you were going for? Or, what was your thought process?
Yeah, so I started playing Sejuani a little while ago, and I think I didn't give her enough credit for her, damage and her strength. So I'm trying. This game, I was like, oh shit, a Pantheon, right? Like he wins here. So I wanted to try to create pressure. I guess I just want to say outside of my jungle, because what I expected from that Pantheon was to be there in my face, making my life a living hell. I think he could have done that better, but I'd say going top was kind of opportunity, but also I've noticed so many games that top is just completely ignored. And then whoever wins, at least in like, you know, my low elo, and whoever wins the top lane fight between the two of them is who usually ends up stomping the rest of the team the rest of the game. So if I'm ever in jungle, I kind of look to top as, you know, like that island that people ignore, and a place for me to get my team ahead, and not be as contested by the enemy jungler, I guess.
Yeah. No, I think that macro-wise, you guys looked so much more comfortable this game from last game. It looked like you started off dictating the pace of the game with your invade. They answered with their side of that, which was a counter invade. We went into vertical jungling, which meant that you got pretty much a dragon for free. And then you were like, okay, well, I've got everything I want to on the bot's half, so now I'm going to go top and get everything I want to on the top half too.
It felt so good. I was like, I can go wherever I want. Like, who's pushed in? You want a gank? You get a gank.
Yeah, I think the only moment where I was a little bit of a nail biter for your jungling was just only waiting for the collapse to happen when you were taking the Pantheon 1v1 at your blue. I was sweating a little bit, and then your team got there, and then I wasn't. Everything else was great.
Yeah, I'm a bard main, so like doing the dance around a fight is something that I practice so often. So like I can sit there and dance with you as long as I have a shred of mobility. If I don't, then I get caught out and just killed. So thankfully, you know, I got a little bit like with the Q on Sejuani. So like that, having that Q off cooldown is kind of a comfort zone for me, and I'll sit there and dance with you all day if I can Q out of it.
Yeah, 100%. And I do want to give a bit of momentary stream highlight back to that bot lane, because as from an analytical standpoint, opting into letting one of their strongest players have his free reign of champions, answering with something that you're not super familiar with and comfortable with in both of our bot picks, and then just completely dicking on them was
it was awesome.
It was a pleasure to watch. Like, I think that was such a different speed from the very slow, careful gameplay from the last match to this one. Of, if you give us an inch, we're going to take a mile. And so I think, like I said, the only thing that made me scared coming into that draft especially was giving them the ADC picks and the support picks that they wanted. And then you immediately turned it around and said, but guess what? We don't care. So just super good gameplay across the board. I think mild positional errors was the only thing I could highlight, and even still, they didn't get capitalized on, so it didn't matter in the end.
Yeah, big kudos to the bot lane. I mean, that is probably another reason I got to go top so much, is because I was like, I don't have to worry about them. they're fine. I don't have to be there. They don't need me. I can just go top and free roam because they took care of it.
You can't gank an enemy when they're already dead.
Well, yeah, exactly. It was like every time I looked at bot, I was like, oh, okay, they're dead again. I guess I'm top. You know, the only time I needed to go bottom was if a dragon was coming up.
Yeah, but definitely great play coming out. Hopefully, you guys keep that Kaisa in the rotation, and B, I'd love to see how your macro comes into play when you do end up in jungle. Yeah. Because that looks so much cleaner from a total team cohesion standpoint.
Yeah, it felt really good, and I don't mind shot calling so much as long as I'm loud enough.
Yeah, you did really well, Meg, so good job.
Oh,
also,
absolutely.
Everybody did so well.
Speaking of mild positional misplays, I'm going to drag Colin in here so we can flame him. I know he's deafened, but I'm going to see if he comes in. Hold on.
All right, I'm going to pop over to the other channel. We just got our picks, so I'm going to go check out what we want to ban. Okay, thanks, guys.
Hey, Colin, how's it going?
I hear you guys now. I tried to jump in here earlier and I can hear you guys playing.
I'm quite glad you didn't know, because Alex was saying some legitimately insightful stuff, whereas I just brought you in here to troll you about some stuff. So, Alex,
I want to let him get back.
Yeah, give me that troll. Doubled everybody's damage. I'll take it.
As as if by way of proving everything I've said during the stream, ladies and gentlemen, Colin Eaglehoff.
Yeah.
Well, it feels good to finally be on my role. I've
Yeah, no, you
usually
did very,
filling
very well.
some other role that I don't play. So, gotta love that.
Yeah, no, you did very well. We were actually full of praise for the bot lane. It was great.
Oh, yeah, that was like Alex muted occasionally, and I'm pretty sure he was jacking into bot lane plays.
Can confirm. Was furiously touching myself.
That's what it's all about, man. Just touch yourself while you play. That's how I
Okay,
do.
well, we gotta let this man go back so he can make an equally amazing plan for this next game.
Okay, Colin.
The
Yeah,
plan
I
is
have
for
one
me to go
request.
support
I
again
have
and
one
her to go
request,
jungle.
Colin, before I move you
Yeah,
back
what
to
is
the
it?
channel. Is pick ye. It's really good. All right, see you in a bit.
Oh no! Oh no! Don't poke him, man. He's riding his high.
All right, so we'll give Alex a minute to review this information because we are getting the histories for the upcoming team. So I'll talk a little bit and do some filler here. Thanks everybody who's tuning in right now. We are not normally a League of Legends stream. We do typically stream RPGs. We actually had a Dresden File RPG streamed earlier today, and we have ongoing campaign, which is a Sunday regular. Don't get me wrong, but we have 5th edition D&D campaigns streamed Friday and Saturday nights. We are a hair's breadth from making affiliate status with Twitch. We just need a handful more followers, so please do follow. We will hopefully be doing more of these Clash casts as they come up, depending on how they with our standard RPG schedule. To that effect, also thank you, Alex, for guest commentating here, lending a bit of technical expertise to the color of Sam and myself.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's very refreshing to have, because I was leaning on Tim for some serious technical knowledge, which, you know, I found that yesterday you surprised me with how much insight you do have, and it was very cool. And then it's nice to have Alex with like hardcore legitimate coaching, and then I just, you know, I've got 2 dick jokes per, say, every 3 minutes, and it seems to be working quite well. I'm having a lot of fun, so...
Hey, I think it works out really well. I was talking to Tim before this happened that I think we're all rounding each other out, because if you just have me talking analytically the entire time, I think I could put you to sleep just as fast as reading a textbook. So I think how we can mix this up makes it a breath of fresh air for
Yeah, well,
everybody
Yeah.
involved.
sometimes while your mates are playing League of Legends, you have to make a knob joke. You know, it is the rules.
Okay, I
Alright.
do have some thoughts going into this pick ban phase though.
Let's hear them.
All right, let's hear him.
Okay, first things up, that Vlad, I can't stay. Got to get rid of that Vlad. It's not something that may be super apparent from the past play in the tournament itself. It could be based off of other bans, but 8 games and an 88 win percent and a 3.5 KDA coming through from mid is the only threatening mid pick that I see. So nix that early on. I would say there's not many jungle picks that really scare me except for the Wukong. So hit that with the number 2. Number 3 is that tournament play seems to get victories only off of Aphelios from the ADC. 1, 2, 3, those elements, and I think you play reactive from there with your pick bans. But the thing that I think is most notable is that there's 2 top champions total that I would be even remotely afraid of, and 2 jungle champions I would be even remotely afraid of. Everything else comes from really from ADC support, and then if that Vlad could get through, that would be extremely frightening in my opinion.
Yeah, he's a horrible champion to have to fight against as well, because he's quite the snowball, and once it gets out of control, it's, you know...
I also would probably say expect a tank from support, just leaning off of history here. I'd be very surprised if we don't see tank support. We do see potential of Karma in the history there, based off of matches played, but I mean, meh Karma at that. So I think that let the support do whatever he wants. you've got Felios is the only scary part of ADC. You're probably going to see a Wukong or a Zac from jungle, and then if you get them off of the Vlad from mid, then they're. I don't really see much that they can piece together that would scare me.
Is that a Vlad mid or is that a Vlad top? Because
I think it would be a better opportunity for Vlad mid, just because I don't know what they're playing middle otherwise. I mean, it could be Camille. I mean, honestly, you know what this looks like is that their mid player didn't show up today.
yeah, it very much does look like that.
Vladimir has been banned, as expected. They also took out Zac and Kaiser in the first round of bans. I would have picked up the Kaiser and banned something else.
The Aphelios.
Yeah.
The Aphelios is a little bit of a threat there, in my opinion. But I think the Vlad and the Zac are good choices. The only thing that I'm afraid of then is the Aphelios and the Wukong specifically being picked up.
Well, Colin will probably end up... Oh no, because he's not top 5. Okay,
No.
I was going to say he would play the Wukong, but he won't be.
But in that vein as well, speaking of, we do have Vayne banned by the other team as well as Anivia and Zoe, so a bit of a target there at Andrew in the mid lane, trying to push him down, though the Anivia is across both him and Colin.
Yes, as we've seen now.
Yes.
So I'm imagining if they're allowed their own way, we will see Callista coming out in the bot lane for Aiden with probably Malzahar now, because Anivia and Zoe are gone, unless Andrew decides to pick up his Victor, which is also a pretty decent champion of his. Colin will be looking to bring out his Lux or his brand, I imagine.
So tournament-wise, we see a little bit of what's called tournament BM here. And in what I mean by tournament BM is when you know what somebody's going to go and you let them have it anyway, specifically on the Nasus. So as a coach, if I am seeing that there's a heavy trend towards Nasus being picked and I let it through, I'm essentially giving a giant middle finger saying your Nasus sucks. So maybe that wasn't intentional, but in my opinion, I'm reading super huge into the fact that they've double picked that Nasus. The other team's got to know they won it, and they say we don't care. It wasn't a threat. So if you're the top player at this point, you're gonna want to show why your Nessus should be feared.
I would
otherwise
say that I would imagine if we left the Nasus on the table, it would be gone in the second round of bans.
Yes,
I
but,
can't imagine that happening though.
Yeah.
Also, to be fair, his KDA has not been fantastic. The Nasus has not been the linchpin. It's been a solid Nasus play.
Well, it's a timer is what it is, and it just hasn't become relevant yet.
Exactly. So if they're looking purely from like a KDA perspective, yeah, that's not a. You know, it hasn't been as much of an issue in the past 2 games, and they could potentially be taking an early game comp, expecting, fine, take the Nasus, take the late game scaling champion. You won't get there.
Yeah, that could be it as well. I think that for a team to be coming into Clash saying you're not going to make it to late game is pretty cocky. When you don't have history. So either way, I feel like it's a bit cocky. You know, no matter how you look at it, either they think they're going to win before late game, or they think the Nasus isn't going to be a threat. Either way, it's cocky play.
I definitely, absolutely will give you that there. That's...
All right.
So I think that optimally, we're gonna see comfort picks being picked up via the Callista, or maybe a huge left-hand turn again, and suddenly he whips out another champion he doesn't play to absolutely dick on somebody else that I was afraid of. Who knows? You know?
Yeah,
Maybe he's gonna pick the Aphelios.
Yeah, that was actually one thing that I was thinking with the Kaiser ban.
I know he won't do that.
Could...
I know he won't do that. The one game we...
Caster Cursed?
Okay, I will... If I'm wrong, I will turn the camera on. You can all see me shirtless. That's how confident with this I am.
You would like that, so it's win-win for you.
I don't want to do it. I've not been to the gym in 3 months. I used to have a decent body. I've lost that. Lockdown, baby.
All right. We have so far, we did have first round picks of Victor, Lux, and Nasus. So they are getting the Nasus in there in that first round, as well as Victor for mid, and I would assume Lux support. We're looking up at on the other side, Renekton, Morgana, Wukong. Wukong that you were afraid of.
It's a
Yep.
scary team already.
Yep.
Then second round of bans, we have Zac, Aphelios and Diana, which makes sense on that is Aphelios. I'm not sure what the Diana stats were, but it may just be personal
It was their mid,
preference.
I think.
Gotcha. And then Callista and Olaf. So the Callista making sense being Aiden's secondary, which it looks like he's now going Jhin, and the other team has also picked Zed in the first round, but we still have 2 picks
That's
left
foolish.
to go.
I feel like that Zed is going to be a big weakness for Red Side. I think the things to watch on Red Side's draft, from what you described to me, are number one, that Renekton seemed to be one of the only viable top options to come through. Not necessarily as a fear point, but as a comfort point. He's just a lane bully to begin with. We've seen Nasus getting bullied a little bit lately. Then that Wukong. I think that Wukong is going to be pivotal to whether we can win or lose. So that would be what I would say to watch out for. I think that Zed. It'll be interesting to see what we end up deciding to pick it. Well, that would have been the Victor then. So
Yep.
I'm hoping to see dominant Victor gameplay, because we did see that dominant game 1 out of mid. Sort of an equal game 2. Let's see a dominant game 3. I'm interested in seeing how the Jhin plays out as well. So
That will be a Jhin into Samira, because that final pick came through, as well as the Sejuani for Meg, as expected.
Samira not being something that they had decided to play in the past will be rather annoying for the Lux for CC purposes, but there's just so much that you can get out from Lux's damage that I would still say that's favored towards our guys. I honestly think that entirety of their comp is going to ride on that Wukong right now, and if we can deal with that Wukong, I think we'll be happy. And if you're looking at how Red Team is going to get back into it, it's that Wukong.
Okay, then my follow-up question is, we're looking at 4 AD champs and a Morgana, who can get some solid damage down, but as a support isn't going to be the focal point.
Of course.
Can they get away with a bit of armor stacking then, and to somewhat negate, or are there still threats that...
I think that the thing that you're going to want to watch for is, it's once again, it's a pacing thing. With any team that loves to go Nasus, and especially if you're starting to throw a tank into the mix in jungle, you're going to have pacing. If they get a chance to get their items, then they're going to tickle. That's it. You know, if you can get an early lead via, the Zed, via the Renekton, via the Wukong, via even to a lesser degree the Samira, I would say that that's what they're looking to try to get, is before that itemization can really come into play, getting some early advantages. I don't see that really happening through bot lane with a Morgana unless you just get caught out. But I mean, equally, you're going to have more damage coming in from somebody who's comfortable on Lux, in my opinion, than somebody who's not comfortable on Morgana. So I think that we've got a favor towards bot side, and we're going to look to see how the other lanes go. But if we can get to mid game, if we can get to late game, get our itemization in, get our team fights down, then I think it's much better off than if we just think the only bad side is dying in lane, in solo lanes.
So
To that Wukong jungle specifically.
Yeah. One potential advantage here is that Colin does play quite a bit of Wukong. So, granted, that's still a question mark, but there is there's some familiarity with the champion there, and knowing what he can.
Is very, very solid. It's aggressive, but that's part of the course.
Yeah, no, and I think the only thing that I would be worried about is that when you put a player who's aggressive into a side lane where he's just focusing on being aggressive, he's going to lose potential track of the macro. So if he's paying attention, he can track that Wukong because of familiarity. if he's paying attention more towards his lane and winning that, he might be completely blindsided to a Wukong, in which case he's got to land his stun, otherwise that Wukong's gonna eat him if he's out of position. Because Lux not exactly known for escapability, so positioning is gonna be more importantly emphasized in this game than another champion maybe. But once again, he just played Anivia, also not one of those champions who's super well known for escapability. You can lay down the wall, you can lay down a slow, you can lay down a stun. Same sort of kit with Lux, so we'll hopefully see another win out of that kit style.
Yeah, I know it is definitely something that he favors. He did make the run to Plat heavily on Lux a couple of seasons ago.
Knowing what I know of the players in the room, while obviously the champions interact a certain way, Lux's success is going to happen reasonably
Potential
early.
clash
There
at
will be-
Pixel?
Could be. If Zed walks in, he might be making a terrible mistake.
The thing that I'm scared about here is we're not doing anything with bot side. We could have plopped down a ward at least, knowing
That's a
that
flash from
a
Renekton.
flash!
Completely
You
worth
walk
it.
out. At this point, you walk out. You got what you needed to get out of it. You even got a ward out of it. I really would have liked to have seen an anticipatory ward at friendly blue to see a potential counter. But getting a flash out of that invade, 100% in all chat, can confirm, #worth.
And it looks like we're going to take the blue.
And we're opting into a vertical, which I don't know that I like the side for, because what we had last game was we got a free dragon out of that, and we could be giving the free dragon out of this one, so we'll see. But just a swap here of blues so far. We do see Lux going to be very late coming back to lane, though. So that will be an EXP discrepancy unless he leeches that all from mid. So yeah, just sort of what we expect. Early gank going top, though.
Yeah, early gank going top. Nothing much there, but the Renekton without the flash.
Yeah, he's gonna have to play. He's gonna have to play a little more scared. Wukong is confirmed to still be there, spotted out by the Lux. Lucky we didn't see Lux go down there to a collapse from bot and Wukong.
Nasa standing
Oh,
on the other side of Renekton there, and Renekton's a little stronger than Nasa early, and I say a little, I mean quite a lot. So probably want to
very
trade
notable
them too much.
decision. Very notable decision there as well, coming in from bot in a call out of Jhin, which is not known for the early aggression, but instead we're just gonna chill and farm it out, which I would have expected with Colin getting Lux. It sounds like he wanted that. They would have been potentially going a little bit more towards that pick and kill mentality, but a little bit of respect going over via the call. See, that's that giant CC combo that you're gonna get out of those that as a duo, though.
Yeah. A bit like the Morgana Caitlyn we saw earlier, getting down that binding and then the trap. With a enemy missing ping coming out of blue mid. Oh,
Here's the return gank with no flash. If they get the return kill, that would suck, but otherwise, it should be easily over. And whether it was on purpose or not, it did go to Nasus, which is what we look for. And a flash from bot.
I think that's going to pick it up.
All of, yep. Perfect aggressive play. Some aggressive flashes. Important to watch the snare cooldowns. Oh, and the return, though. We could see another kill here.
could potentially. Probably won't. Far enough out. But
yeah, between the call on Jhin being just a little bit less damage than otherwise, and the careful positioning instead of the aggressive match to match the Lux, means that we're not going to see a kill come down. But even still, 2 kills, and there goes the Zed flash.
so we got some great play coming out of the jungle already. Both with the early invade, the early gank on Renekton into the return gank, and then just coming through mid there and really not giving up bot because it looks like she's after Bop and Scuttle now. So it's that free dragon is looking less and less likely. as we're
Yeah,
going
yeah,
top tier.
that's a great repositioning there. The thing we're gonna want to watch is a little bit around top and mid now, in my opinion. Bot's already shaken out to what I think they're gonna do. I think their lane should be playing more scared against them. But yep, that's what we're looking for, is the potential of a burst from one of the solo laners. So yeah, it just wasn't prepared for that level of damage to come through. Notably didn't burn his flash though, which actually in this case is good. He couldn't have really gotten out of that situation with it. So having it for the next engagement, very much worth it.
Yeah, that was a death, either flash or no flash. So it's a good restraint there to hold on to it. Because for so many people, that is the impulse. Once again, aggressive positioning into the root with a. Did get the black shield off onto Samira at the cost of some own health, though.
Yeah, one thing we're gonna need to watch out of that aggressiveness is mana bars. When you see mana bars going down like that, you're gonna need to pay attention to potential of a counter. You see Colin in lane run out of mana and not decide to back, then that is a window for a return opportunity there.
Absolutely. Especially with Into the Morgana with the binding. Just if you trade bindings, that's
a little bit of cheeky damage return. I don't expect to see much more than that. It's just more of I put a ward down here, and you're gonna sweep it. Well, I'm gonna take half your health bar.
Yep.
So I think the name of the game that we're going to see from mid specifically is going to be who aggresses. Whoever starts aggressing first is probably going to win the trade. If you see a Zed ult come down first, then that's going to have the advantage. If you see a Victor ult come down first, it could make it really hard for Zed to get any return damage done. So it's going to be about a momentum play from mid. And then top, we saw that because of that early death from Renekton, he opted into a Ruby Crystal instead of a Longsword or more damage, giving the opportunity to have Nasus come back in with damage via the Sheen, which is a great damage proc. So
yeah,
something to watch there.
And he does also have the cloth armor. He had enough off of that kill to pick up the cloth armor as well, so a little bit more insulation.
Except he will, and he'll take him. That's pretty
Caster Curse.
Yeah, just keep pulling him. Oh! And the mastery flashback.
And there's the mastery.
This is what I want.
And there's the
Wukong.
Oh, this is punishing that kind of cockiness. That's why you don't
Yep.
Yep.
It's a dangerous game, but we do have Sejuani at Dragon, it looks like.
So the only potential weakness I'm seeing from bot play right now is that it doesn't look like Victor. It doesn't look like Jhin and Lux are on the same page positionally, and that's an opportunity for a misplay there, because Lux is looking to go in and make things happen, and even if you're landing things, if you get something return landed on you, like a Morgana binding, and your ADC isn't there to back you up, but their ADC is there to take advantage of you, then you're gonna see bad times. But in the meantime, I think that mid is the only point of current weakness showing, and I think they're gonna keep capitalizing on that with the Wukong with the
Sejuani will be there for the next fight.
Bit of a questionable choice to stick around like that.
We could see a fight here on this dragon, because they do have a lot of low health bars on the red side.
But we do have Victor coming in to cover, and that's a Samira with Black Shield. We got the TP coming in top blue side, and Wukong is in there.
Yeah,
Ghana is down.
Here are the Wukong.
That double ult, and that did pick it up. Nasus is left top by himself to hopefully pick something out. But we just got some unlikely given where the wave is.
Yeah, I think that was overall a little bit cocky to try to sneak that dragon in with those health bars that they had. So I think Nasus made the right decision to hold on to that TP, don't commit to that death ball, because I think it just would have been another piece of death for the team. So being able to get that that CS and a little bit more time in lane could be helpful. Frankly, that Wukong feels like it was a bad idea to let through. But we'll see how they play reactively to that. Also, obviously, seeing Zed come through in a way that I would have hoped that he wasn't getting an advantage. So
Morgana
Mid
did just
Morgana
DC.
just DC'd. Hopefully she returns soon. Because she was there gambling here. That's a big
and I don't
threat.
know the Clash rules. Are they allowed to pause?
No, I tried it.
No.
Oh, then yeah, take advantage of that DC while you can.
So yeah, we're gonna see a bit of a bot lane, not necessarily momentum shift, but a momentum capitalization. Because it
I
was
want to see
fairly
that
well
happen.
pushed.
I want to see that Jhin lean forward into the fact that Lux is looking for damage, and be there for follow, which is exactly what they're posturing right now. The thing that I'm really afraid of at this point is if you look at our team comp versus their team comp, if Zed gets rolling, he picks who's going to die, and they die.
Yes, absolutely. The one thing to note, both top and mid CS has been brought back relatively even. There were deficits for us initially. Granted, 3-1-1 Zed with the same creep as a 1-3-1 Victor is in a little bit of a better position from that. But,
And there's the ult combo.
Mission beam.
Yep,
Just
what was a
charging
dominant
that
bot
laser.
lane just got their ults and did with their ults what you would expect. I think the Wukong's a fool for sitting bot. He's not likely to get anything out of this, and we see Meg do exactly what she said before and go back to that island to make something happen. And I think that blue side's on the back foot here, as we would expect with a DC.
oh,
but
absolutely. That's,
but we're still looking at Zed to be the potential of damage kill threat coming out.
We started the Rift Herald and we've started it with blue having the... Oh no, this is a red ward. Ignore me, I thought it was... I was confused from last game, so I got the teams mixed up. No, they don't know it's happening, so it's going to be a surprise and not a good one.
Alright, Wukong covering that tower for Samira.
Where's the
Sneaking around.
Herald going? Question.
Looks like they won it mid over the wall, is my guess. And he misses.
That's hilarious.
Yep, stick around.
Still got heal. I would have thought he might have been able to get out with that heal move speed.
Yeah.
But yeah, the double kill bot out of that stick around with that Wukong, which is keeping them in this game, honestly.
Yeah. But that's a lot of turret plate gold right there. Granted, not going to have much of a follow-up just because of the lack of minions. But
Yeah.
it might have been a little bit premature to drop that, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I would say I wouldn't have chosen that. Maybe not necessarily premature, but not that lane. Because it's just the way it's been working is that Zed hasn't really been letting himself get pushed in. And so the likelihood of finishing off that tower is lower. So some plate gold, but that's about it.
But less likely to finish the tower. Granted, Renekton hasn't been pushed into turret very much at all either.
Yeah, no, I would abuse the ever-living bejesus out of bot lane not having two people right now is what I would have done. You send that that Sedge bot for what at best for the enemy team is a 2v3. And you just keep running it down via the lane that is left to you.
Oh, absolutely. I think that's a great position for Sejuani, but in terms of the Rift Herald, looking at that current HP on the turret.
Oh yeah, no, you take the turret, you drop it for second and hopefully third.
Yeah, true.
Because at that point, plates are no longer in effect, so you're much more likely to get double charge off.
A little bit of damage coming down on the mid tower, potential to catch out.
But Zed sensibly just react, but Wukong catches Jin out of position, but there's a flash, and that's
But
the end
even
of that.
with the ult,
Yeah, that is a notable swap in summoners. So great to have the Wukong ult down, but now if you're Jin, I would be sweating buckets because that Zed wants you, he's gonna get you. No
yeah,
questions asked.
absolutely. And then we did see the back out of the Jin there, kind of get out of dodge at half health and no flash.
And that's a great dragon pickup, and arguably my preferred dragon type to have only one off, because that is basically just free damage that stops the Wukong getting the free damage, because that champion doesn't need any help doing damage, because he's absolutely ridiculous these days. Right,
Yeah, especially
yes.
what I think is Gore Drinker there, right?
No, that is Divine Sunder.
Divine Sunder.
Which is
Okay,
a
well, equally as
terrifying
scary.
item, yeah. With those big Qs doing a bonus 10% damage on here.
Is that all?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we expect from the Zed at this point. He picks a target and he takes the target. And oh my gosh, is she gonna get it?
We got the flash.
Got the flash, but not normally what you see is Sejuani saying, "Get the plop out of my mid lane" to a 4-1 Zed.
This Sejuani role-playing Sejuani, she's actually a war mother.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah, no, that makes
Should have
sense.
engaged bottom from that Wukong. Hey, that Wukong Samira combo, really? Bot does not need to be pushed up nearly that far.
And if they are, bring the Sedge.
Yeah, without Sejuani. Is really how I should have finished that sentence. Because the 2v1 Samir Wukong versus Lux Jin, Lux Jin's gonna die every time right now.
Yep.
And really all that's doing is getting the Samira back in the game from being down 30 creep, losing their support laner.
Can we get a double check if Malzahar was banned in this?
Malzahar was not banned.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen a Malzahar instead of that Victor then, because that would have had a much easier answer. He comes in, you sit on his face.
Yeah.
But overall, looks like we're gonna get the turret.
Yep.
So,
Down. Getting out
and
before
we get a lane swap too.
Yeah. Though Lux is not there with him, so it is Jin v Renekton right now.
That's
A little bit dangerous.
some big damage on those wards there. Oh, it's a massive flash. I don't know what the hell that was, but I liked it.
It was an aggressive flash trying to get the ult out, but
He dashed out of the way.
She has bigger balls than every one of the guys on that team.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think notably at this point, if I'm Victor, I'm trying to decide how to be relevant, and my first answer is going to be to get Zanya's.
Yeah, he's already picked up the Seeker's Arm Guard there in the build.
It doesn't matter if that's what you wanted out of your build before; it's what you want now.
Yeah, I think we've seen the switch from the Lost Chapter build to the Seekers come out, so I think that'll be first.
Arguably, I think it was a little short-sighted of Lux to have not picked it up first as well, because while you get more in lane out of the Ludens, after laning phase, it's going to have huge diminishing returns, because Zed's going to do Zed things like that.
Flashes a mastery twice, 3 times, one more. No, okay,
Yeah, I can't fault that at the point that our mid laner was Flash and Mastered before,
this is what I want
so...
to see. I want to see more bad blood. Let's do it. Let's have a blood feud.
Meanwhile, Wukong's sitting top though, so one of their powerhouses to stop the push
It seems like
is
there's a
trying to
battery
return.
call going. Oh well, the rift call.
If we see a pick here, if Wukong gets picked, that could be a Baron in the end of the game, but he's not gonna get picked.
No, it'll be
Could
back.
still be Baron. Right after this rift, so we'll see what the timing looks like, how fast they can take different pieces, where the enemy team
You
comes
have
in.
Zed coming in.
Who does Zed want to kill today?
Right.
Because that's what it is.
But Rift and the extraction,
They're
Colin-
hovering, I
Colin
don't
making
know.
bad choices.
Yeah, I was going to say, Lux is looking quite dead. The more she stands around, the more dead she's starting to look. And Zed's a pussy. Fair play. Never mind. I take that back. I cast a Cursed Zed.
No, and the big thing that's important if you're Zed at this point is that you know you're going to get whoever you want. The point is that you got a 400 gold shutdown. So if you can get whoever you want and leave, that's the play. You don't want to get greedy. None of them are worth the shutdown gold. So you're not going to throw your life away at the point that you don't have to. But once again, we see a lot of damage coming down from that Zed. And potential return here. All his stuff is down. Yep. He could have flashed that with a fast enough reaction time, but almost point blank, it would have been really hard.
Yeah. Very hard.
So
Gonna trade that
unfortunately, Sedge is the one getting that shutdown gold. But they do get the dragon out of that, delaying the soul, which is not bad considering you're down a man.
Yeah. Rich Herald just dropped top. Looking to take down that tier 1 and clear out the entire front.
So if I'm red here, I'm trying to prevent the rotation without getting engaged upon. More time we can let Sejuani sit top and try to get damage down on that turret without dying mid, the better.
Just hold. There we go. We got Sejuani rotating back smartly.
Yeah, getting the tower anyway. Don't need to be sticking around with your life, so. It is noted in all chat, or not in all chat, but in chat though, that the smite did come out at tower. So they are watching that for the potential of a Baron. They know that at least one of the smites from Sedge is down, but not really going to be meaningful, I don't think, there further beyond that.
That was a Wukong smite that they pinged, so I think they pinged his challenging smite, so the smite came out from Wukong during that last fight. So.
BMing your own teammate, I like it.
It's solid play.
Yep. Absolutely.
Something I like to see, just you know, general mean-spirited nastiness is what we need more of in this world right now in the current climate.
And you see the answer from Wukong going, "Hey, you want to spam, but I don't have it? Well, now I do.
Yeah.
Leave me alone."
There was nothing going on that I needed it for, so fuck off.
Yeah. A little bit worried that we're in a 4v5 and at a gold deficit at this point, so a little bit nervous.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Morgana was not doing a whole lot in terms of who DC'd. And then bot lane did kind of throw over to the Wukong Samira
several
combo.
times.
Yes, twice. So there's a bit of a clawback from that. It is still a slow and steady. They do have, just in the 5v4, you're going to have better map presence just because you have more people. And more passive gold over the course of the game, things like that. So long term, it is still looking fairly good, especially if that Zed can be contained.
Yeah, I find it very interesting. Can we get the item check on the exact item that Jin has there?
You can. Jin has Shield Bow, Bloodthirster, and Boost of Swiftness.
So it sounds like he's trying to survive the initial impact, which is, I will point out, from a coaching perspective, a very off-meta build. You normally see like 98% of Jhin players picking up Gale Force instead. I'm suspecting that's reactionary to the Zed, but very interesting itemization choices there.
That comes from, because I questioned him on this, and I saw the same thing, that he apparently doesn't really like the Gale Force on Jhin because he likes the movement in the passive. I think that's wrong, but we've had a talk about it and he's made his decision, so
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
That's a lot of damage coming down initially, but the follow-up fight is going to be what's important here. Yep, and Zed is getting everything he wants.
Shut down on the
I do think this is probably the final team fight of the game, just because I know how the game, I know how the game ends, but I'm not going to spoil it. I kind of did, but the game ends
yeah, a little bit, just a little bit.
Just a hit.
Very shortly.
So
here.
Yeah, so what we saw there was Zed doing whatever he wanted to, and unfortunately, I think this was honestly just due to the Morgana not being there. I think that
Yes.
potentially there was some infighting based on the pings we saw, but I mean like red team wasn't doing poorly, and blue team was doing blue team wasn't doing poorly, and red team the big things that they had going for them was the timer on Nasus, the success around Sejuani, and that's it. Which is it doesn't feel like really enough to end the game off of. So I got to imagine that they got into their heads a little bit because I didn't feel like that game was over. Maybe somebody's mom was telling him they had to go to bed. But I felt like there was a lot more gameplay to be happening.
I'm a little disappointed that the Morgana disconnected because like win's a win. I'm very happy for everyone that they got the dub. That's what we came here to do. But I would like it to be on a 5v5 personally. I always hate it when there's a disconnect and I win because it just feels a little cheaper. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
100%.
the other thing is that the blue team played really well, and I still think there was everything to play for between both teams. Like when there was 5 people on the map and when there was 9 people, like one was down, I still thought there was everything to play for, and I would have liked to have seen where that went. Just for a bit more of a convincing victory on everyone's side. I'm a little disappointed for Morgana if their internet connection disappeared or whatever. But there's a lot of positives to take away from that, and I'm sure everyone will be very happy with what's happened. So let's get someone in for a quick interview. Who are we thinking?
That's a good question. I'll let you guys decide. I could ask any number of questions to any one of them.
I'm going to pull Andrew in because he's usually pretty good at answering stuff. So
And he's the mid.
yeah, he's
Yes.
our victor for this one. So let's get him in and see what he has to say.
Okay.
Ready? Hello.
Yellow.
Hey,
Alright.
welcome.
Well done, by the way. That's what are we on today? 2 for 1.
Good one.
So that's good. Well done. There's no more to play, is there?
Nope, that's
that
it.
was it.
Okay. Well, that's a positive record for today's clash. So how do you feel?
Pretty good. That last game was apparently a good thing that they had an AFK.
Yeah, I was kind
Apparently.
of thinking the same, but I didn't
Yeah.
want to take the shine off anything.
Yep. Definitely helpful. The bot lane was doing fairly well before the DC. Though I think with that Wukong added into the mix, it would have gone about as it did. But, yeah.
Answer me this. You opted into some other mid lane choices before that seemed like you were more comfortable on, and then chose the Victor for yourself as an early pick. What was the goal out of that Victor pick?
Granted, based on what was said in the post-game lobby, some real evaluation was needed. Is basically so we were based on the bans that we applied to their mid laner. In the last game that they played, where they got a win, they had taken Victor, and Victor is a champ I could play, and so we took it away from them.
I see.
But a thing that was pointed out, which we overlooked because he hasn't really played much of it very well this season, with only a 30% win rate and just barely under a 2 KDA. Apparently he's a Z1 trick.
Well,
like, that's why it's his highest mastery, which is why I did think it was funny, because that's why he flashed his mastery when he got
I
that
know.
first
We
kill
saw.
on me.
Yep.
That's why I was obliged to flash it back on him when he died the second time.
I will
Yep,
say
yeah,
I was
no,
praising
we saw the
everyone
mastery
this game
flashes.
for much more shit talking. There was a distinct lack of it. There was a distinct lack of it in the first 2 games, and I was really baying for some bad blood. And I'm glad we finally got it.
In the post game lobby, he was like, "For future reference, always ban the one trick. I would have lost mid if I didn't have my Zed." And my response was, "But you did."
Yeah.
And that
Yeah,
was the end of that game.
that's definitely a good point there. some unsolicited advice turning into unwanted feedback from what sounds like salty loser.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
because it's why, like, sure, he was able to go get kills, which was bully for him, but the fact that I was never at a CS deficit despite those kills, and my tower was always healthier than his, meant that him poking me out or killing me was not translating to any positive win for them. He
Yeah.
was just going, woot woot, look at my kill, and then backing. And I would then show up and go, cool, minions, kill the tower.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think,
It's why I even bought that early Seeker's Arm Guard rather than rushing
yes,
my Mythic.
yes, 100%. 100% worth getting that Seekers there. But overall, it seemed like maybe not as clean of a game as last time, but a win nonetheless.
Yeah,
So
I think based on how like fights were going, I think that it was still going to go in our favor because I said like despite the advantages, they weren't creating a significant enough lead because like where Meg pointed out that Wukong was out farming her and had more KP, but at the
oh yeah,
same time, her presence around the map was allowing us to push more towers down. And that was translating into actually more of a win, even if you compare them individually, as he was doing better. She was making the team do better. Uh, where everyone on their team seemed to really be just playing for themselves. Uh, and based on the reaction of Report Morgana at the end, I have a feeling they are not a cohesive unit. I
yeah.
think they got
Echo that as well.
together, got together for a clash. Uh,
Yeah, I think that based off something we saw in the middle of that match, there was a spam ping that Wukong didn't have his smite up, and then the immediate ping back that yes, I do have it now. So I wondered if there wasn't some infighting going on and some confirmation there around the fact they say report their teammate. So that sounds like they might have played themselves there. But
yeah.
overall, I think if I'm you guys looking back at these past three matches, uh, I gotta wonder if they don't ban Sejuani, if that might not be a power pick for future games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done very well on the Sidwani jungle.
Yeah, I think Meg might be better suited in the jungle for our teams because she has good map awareness, can make good calls, and provides a greater utility pick. Whereas Colin's blood vision is much better in the bot lane. Uh,
Also, it gets Colin onto his main role, where he gets to shine in dealing tons of damage and playing the type of characters he likes to play. So it's nice to see everyone playing to their strengths and really getting stuck in there and getting some wins, which is what I wanted to see. So good job, everyone.
yeah, and the other nice thing about having him in the support role is things like the second game where we were able to early pick the Anivia, where when we picked it, we actually didn't know where it was going to go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
Solid flex
because
pick there.
yeah, because both of us could pick it, and we're like, this might get banned. We'll pick this now, and then we'll see where it is best needed afterwards.
Yeah, honestly, I do know that Anivia is occasionally played support, but still didn't expect it. Didn't see it coming. You juked me as well as them.
Yeah.
So definitely interesting play coming through here. I think the big thing for Colin, it sounds like specifically, is calculated aggression with somebody to back him up equals success. Uncalculated aggression with nobody to back him up equals failure. But no surprise there. Overall, everybody played pretty well today. And I think that you guys decided on some interesting game plans that will hopefully we'll get to see again in future games.
Yeah, I feel everyone did a fantastic job, especially rallying from the rather crushing first game.
Hmm.
But everyone very evidently brought back their top tier to rally for that second game and then ride it through game 3, which, despite the fact that I do think it was slightly in blue team's edge, I feel we would have been able to pull that out. It just would have been a much longer slugfest.
100%. Yeah.
Yep. Well, we will go ahead and wrap it up here.
Yes,
Thank you
indeed.
to everybody who's watching. Once again, if you are not following the channel, please do. We are very close to hitting that 50 follower affiliate mark. But next time we've got a clash going, we will be doing something like this again. So hope you enjoyed it. And thanks once again to Alex and Sam joining me on the commentary desk. Oh, desks, because we're all at our own places, but the commentary
Social
desk.
distancing. Well, you
Yeah.
got what, a few hundred miles between us at least?
Yeah,
And
not
then
one of
the
us is
Atlantic
wearing
Ocean.
a mask either, so we're going to catch flack for that somehow. But yeah, well done, everyone. Thank you very much for coming, and I've had a great time, and I hope to do this again. We'll have to get the crew together again and have our totally professional commentary for Clash and Burn.
Absolutely.
I like it.
Have a wonderful night, everybody.
Alright, take care. Bye-bye.